Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, campers, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. It is time for the show. We have a Canadian book writer down there just clacking away.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm just picking on you.
I'm going to mute. Finish my email.
But good morning, and finish your email along with your oatmeal.
I'll at least say hello and be part of the opening and greet everyone. Good to be had.
We should have some other folks joining us as we move along here, but we just wanted to get things rolling. We have the boss man, of course, as well. How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing excellent. Greetings, and we should also introduce the recipient of Chato's email, as she's now part of the show as well. So,
true. I mean, does OnlyFans want that though?
That is the question. Yeah.
At least Paul laughed. But good morning, everybody.
If you don't visit your OnlyFans sites, then you get dogged.
You got to try to grow the following there too.
That's right. It's like a golf membership.
Who'd have thought there was? Go ahead.
I was just saying, if you don't go to the restaurant monthly, then they charge you for a restaurant anyway.
I just can't imagine an OnlyFans with you in your underwear would be that.
You know what? I'm making
popular,
good money from OnlyFans.
I know. I'm jealous.
There is an audience for my kind of sexiness.
I mean, people caught in precarious positions in their underwear just doesn't really sell it to me. But I mean, I guess if that's your thing,
let me tell you, the internet is a wide sea of people with multiple interests.
There are many kinks out there, and we don't kink shame. So
absolutely,
that's true.
That's
true.
Lord knows we have our own.
I think you got lazy though when you just started using your security camera instead of actually streaming though.
Like that's what makes people feel. It makes it more intimate and feel
like the voyeuristic thing.
Yes, correct. That's really the key. More voyeurism.
Okay, well, that works, I guess.
The legacy of Big Brother.
6 sends in 5 smackaroos, even though she's in the back and could have popped on past this. She goes, Paul, how was your golf game lately?
Well, I'm playing indoor golf while the winter has consumed the Great White North here, and I had a very good round yesterday. Extremely good round. I was very, very happy. Hopefully, it bodes well for when I actually go out into the real world.
The open green.
Yes, sometimes it's hard to translate indoor golf to outdoor
mini golf.
I don't play mini golf.
Well,
that's the real sport.
Isn't indoor golf kind of a little bit like default like mini golf?
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, except you can take full-on swings and the computer calculates where you are on the, in the fairway. You can even putt. Yeah, it is kind of mini golfish, except like you can't take full swings on a mini putt course, but you can in computer golf.
Also, we're talking computer golf. I was like thinking, man,
right.
If you were going to do full golf swings inside the house with a golf ball and everything, you have one patient wipe.
Yes, that's right. No. So you can get, I don't know, you must have them in Norway where you've got these screens and you whack the ball, it hits the screen and
Yeah.
it shows you the giant fairway, and then it calculates where you are and whether you're out of bounds or whatever. And then
I'm sure we must have, but if I'm completely honest, I never bothered to check. But I'm sure we have plenty of stuff in Norway without me being actively aware of
do you
it.
play golf?
No,
Have you ever played golf?
no.
How about you, Tom?
Yes, I suck at real golf, but mini golf, I'm pretty damn good at it.
Well, I finally took lessons for the first time in years, and the guy showed me stuff that I had no idea, and so it worked out really well. And now I'm hitting them down the center of the fairway. So let's see if it translates into the real world. That's all
I
I'm
probably
doing.
should though, because we have like one of what is apparently like one of the better golf courses in Norway is like literally like 10 minutes away from where I live.
Time to start playing golf.
Yeah, people keep talking about how awesome it is, so I guess so many people can't be wrong. So,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Real golf is no challenge. You just hit the ball in the hole. Mini golf, on the other hand, that's a challenge.
there you go. They
Yeah.
they should combine mini golf and tournament golf. Get the
I agree.
windmill. You know, can't just putt it. You have to get it by the windmill.
But it's got to be full size instead of it being mini, right? Like,
Yeah, full size.
Big-
Absolutely full size.
and it will literally like shoot balls at you and kill you if you don't do it right.
I like that. I like that. Death golf.
Goalie and stuff like that.
What's the English name of like that branch of sport where you shoot down the stuff that's being hurled through the air? The stuff
Skeet
that,
shooting?
Skeet shooting, yeah.
you could also like do like that's a great way of combining sport, like combining that with
Four.
There was a TV show that had a mammoth indoor golfing setup. It didn't fly, but it was a huge, gigantic, human size indoor golf where you were shooting balls right up gigantic hills and crap like that. So
yeah.
that didn't stick for whatever reason. So
And Mr. TickleTrunk and
making
Six
these
are having a
gigantic,
conversation in super chats here. Mr. TickleTrunk sends in 5 Canadian, says, "I'm more of a fan of pocket pool." Well,
I like
you know,
pool too. Just I
it's
don't
not
have one in the
professional
house.
yet, but if it was professional, I'd probably be a
Pool is neat.
master at it.
Yeah.
6 says, Mr. TickleTrunk, what is pocket pool for $2?
You
And then ActionCon gets involved and says, really, Mr. TickleTrunk, I thought you were a paintballer at least. And then Mr. TickleTrunk goes, 6, you don't want to know.
Yeah,
for
I
$2.
imagine that it also involves balls in some kind of.
And then Mr. TickleTrunk says paints his balls quietly. That's
Right.
not what. I'm not going to even. No, just paint your balls.
Well, I did do a video on a trial between two individuals where the female of the couple had their balls operated on and taken off. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah,
And
we
then-
mentioned it briefly and put it in the fridge or something.
That's right. She put it in the fridge, and the guy was tired of looking at it after a year.
You know what I found out after that is that they had already broken up that whole time.
Correct.
Yeah, that was one
They
part
had
that we didn't
split.
cover. Yeah.
Why they would split over that, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I said there's actually this epidemic where people who are swapping things and then they're realizing their significant other isn't interested in them anymore. It's like, well, yeah, because they were lesbian or they were gay, and you lopped off the part they were interested in, or added an additional package that wasn't there before.
You know.
Anyway, 6 instantly regrets Googling pocket pool. I'm not sure you could have just asked.
Well, I believe it did.
It didn't have to cost you anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, Paul's probably he knows how to do that very well, I'm sure.
Yeah, the one thing I learned that's a big deal is, and I never knew it, is the new golfers out there, you're gonna chime in. The takeaway angle of your club probably means more than anything else, and I knew nothing about it. So with all this computer stuff, every time you take a shot, you get this data that comes up, and then okay, attack angle, behind angle, takeaway angle. It's where did you hit it on the face of the club? So it's quite extraordinary. It's fun.
Anything can be, depending on how scientific you want to go about it.
Well, it at least allows you to repeat something, which is
Yeah,
really what golf is about, right? You need to be
yeah,
able to repeat the same thing over and over again because there's just so many variations. It's a
indeed.
dumb game.
Yeah. And Dr.
We get
Longdong
a
is this for
rare super
£5.
chat and not just a super sticker from Dr. Longdong,
Oh,
but I had
yeah.
to point out.
Yeah. And he says, working late today, so I'm missing the live show. Oh, sorry to hear that. I'll catch up on the replay. Hit that like button and power the hamsters.
The
Yeah,
hamsters need their pellets,
they
and
do.
you won't get it unless you participate.
I don't know.
Indeed.
I pictured Dr. Longdongler sounding more like, working late today, so I'm missing the live show. I'll catch it on the replay. Hit the like button. The power that, like all prim and proper.
That's right.
English.
Well, there's oi, working late today, so I missed the live show. Or catch up on the replay. Hit the like button and power the hamsters.
No. It's got to be more snooty.
I just, but
He's a
again,
doctor.
the fact that I do like the fact that you've got, some British slang that takes away the H's completely. Hamsters, power
Yeah, but
the hamsters.
Them are usually like, what do you call it? Yeah, the Cockney one. Yeah, but I don't know about too many doctors that would talk like that, but maybe.
But he might not be a real doctor.
That's true. It could be a trap.
That's right.
Marissa Sanchez is here, sorry, and has become a member. Thank you so much,
And
Marissa.
welcome.
We appreciate that. When are we doing our member stream, Andre?
We are doing that in the next few days here. Like my voice is recovering, so now we just have to lock down the time between us, Tom, and then we'll announce it to the audience. But it'll be in the next few days.
All right. And we got Stone Racket sending us in a little kitty for $1.49. Thank you for that, Stone Racket. Then Marachi is gifting 5 Midnight's Edge memberships. Thank you so much. And then we've got Stone Racket again sending in a super sticker. This time, let's see here. I know 6 put it in the back if I was in the right. It is a Shiba dog happily massaging its cheeks with his mouth open wide.
Shiba dogs are so cute.
Yeah. Sounds a little suggestive. Raging Dino. I like that. That's a new name. He's been a member for 10 months. I don't remember you having that name before, but I love it. The Fantastic Forecast has me underwhelmed. Do you think the original movie will age better because of this?
Well,
we were
it says
talking
the
about this the
original
other
movie, so presumably he
Yeah.
refers to the 2005 and 2007 movies by Tim Story.
Yeah, there's better movies than those, actually.
Yeah.
But you have to go all the way back to 1990 to a movie that was never released publicly.
Officially. Yeah.
Officially. Yeah. But do you think the other ones will age better because of this?
Curious one.
No.
Yeah, chime in and I want to hear what Mr. Chato.
I was gonna say, because the second one was such a problem with the fart cloud and all that business that most people have forgotten about those other two. I don't know. What do you think, Paul? I know you're kind of a fan of the one. My kung fu is not as good as my karate, but I will try it one day.
I think the first movie was fine for the budget that it had. I mean, it didn't. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. I wasn't happy with Dr. Doom, but other than that, it was a nice little fun jaunt that seemed to fit the character of the comic books. There was controversy back then, even hiring Elba rather than some
Jessica Alba
instead of some ravishing blonde girl. So this whole notion that people are only having with Latino actors, but there was controversy back then when they didn't hire just a classic blonde beauty. So people will complain about anything all the time. The second movie sucked because they actually borrowed only a small slice of Galactus and the Silver Surfer, spent no money on it, and it's just sucked balls. It was just a dreadful.
I refuse to call it a Galactus. That's a fart cloud, my friend.
Yes, it was a fart cloud. Yes, you're right. It was terrible. The next movie we will not even discuss. but I love them so much. I mean, what was it? Where is it? Look at I mean, I'm a big. This is 1960s Fantastic Four. I've got them all. So I mean, I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. And I can only hope that they'll get it right. My big concern is that they're going to infuse it with too much of the 60s. So while the 60s is a great time, and I've been ragging, that I'd like to see more of the superheroes actually taken back to some of their origins, so they're not so supery, right? Batman being more of a detective because that came from Detective Comics, and then the Fantastic Four are now able to deal with 60s style machinery, and seeing what Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, is going to do with stuff of its era. So it can't be as fantastic and as inconsequential as the shit that they're doing now. They can't just have a tesseract, stick it on the end of a goddamn pole and go I mean, it's
But Loki did.
What?
But Loki did.
Loki did, and quite frankly, they actually had that on Captain America, the first movie, where the Red Skull was using that. So I mean, that bullshit stuff existed, in the early Marvel movies, but it didn't bother me so much. But now, like, we've ragged upon the fact that even Iron Man isn't even putting on armor. He just opens up he hits his watch, and suddenly a nano suit appears, and envelops him, which is not gear porn. We want gear porn. That's, we want seeing people soldering stuff and making things just in time and just trying to get the right equipment and metal parts and stuff like that. And the 60s Fantastic Four was all about that. Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, was constantly making stuff at the very last second, gigantic laser, machines, and that he would fire from the top of the Baxter building. I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also afraid that they're going to bring in, Martin Luther King, the death of John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson stuff. That's my big fear, is that they're not going to keep their greasy fingers off of the upheaval of the 60s. That's my fear.
Yeah, they'll have Johnny actually flaming in the closet.
Flame on. We've been making that joke forever.
Well, and that's the thing, is in the 60s, they'd really be able to make a big deal out of him being gay and in the closet, right? Like,
well,
I said you'd have it to where the first time he gets beat up because he's gay, and that's the first time the flame.
Well, you know what? I did like the fact that Sue and Reed were holding hands in the Valentine's Day card.
Yeah. So that Valentine's Day card was actually neat.
What? They've got a heterosexual relationship in a Disney Marvel movie? Really? Like, okay.
But I'm afraid of it. It reminds me of what's going on with the X-Men, and we'll get into that when we get to that point. But,
so anyways, I'm hoping for the best. The cast, I think, is fine. Everyone can act in it. People are, quite bent out of shape, with different members of the cast, Pedro especially, but the man can act. So we shall.
Honestly, he's the least of my worries right now.
Who's the bigger one?
Just Kevin Feige.
They've got a good director. I think the director is going to be fine.
I don't think the director matters one bit. It's a typical Marvel studio director. The director will carry out the whims of Kevin Feige.
Because here's what I'm seeing.
Because the script is a mess, apparently.
Here's what I'm seeing. In the last 2 days, we have gotten an X-Men trailer and a Fantastic Four poster that look very promising.
Yep.
But once you start looking underneath the surface, you start to find cracks, and we'll definitely get into that in the X-Men stuff. So that's where I'm fearful for Fantastic Four, because we don't know yet what's going to happen. Like, we were joking about the flame on, flame off thing with Johnny. Wait and find out that be actually something that's in it. They'll shove as much politics, like you were just saying, Paul, as they can. And not only will they do that, they'll misinterpret those politics on top.
Well, my first thought seeing that card was, how many of the Wi-Fi password people did they have to chain to chairs and put muffles in their mouths to stop them from going, "For white people, for white people."
Yeah. Well, that's where I think
more than you think.
What?
I think Andre is correct that Feige had to go around and convince people that Pedro Pascal wasn't white.
He's, well, I mean, white is.
I mean, that's the thing. The big debate in the last couple of years in Hollywood is Asian and
Yep.
you know, Latin really technically not white, right? So like,
Yeah, they're
it
white
depends on their
adjacent.
argument. Yeah.
Depends on how successful they are.
Well, that and what their argument is, right?
Pedro is very left-wing Hollywood, so he's kind of allowed, right?
Yeah.
So he is, you know, he is acceptable, put it that way. But
Indeed.
to have a cast that is that, you know, color neutral, I think is a complete shock to Disney. It was a
I
big,
think he's
complete shock
copying
to me.
James Gunn. I think
Pardon
that's
me?
what he's doing. I think he's copying James Gunn.
Yeah.
And what and he's doing it in a bad way, and it's only on a surface level, and that's why I keep bringing that up, because sure, I think what we're going to do here is we're going to see a bunch of things come out of Marvel that evoke and look like the classic things that we love, but they're still not going to be those
But
classic
you know what?
things.
You know
You know
what?
what I mean?
As much as we're fearful, and this is what's coming from, I think we always need to accept what it is that we see, and you just can't. You know, you're trying to put it through the Disney lens and expect the worst, but that's their fault. I mean, I don't blame anybody. I don't blame you for doing that. What is it? 8 times bitten, 10 times shy, whatever that, you know.
At this point with Disney, I think you got to double that even.
Well, but that's a hole that they got to dig themselves out of.
Yeah.
That's not our responsibility to help dig them out.
Well, and that's
But
fair.
I'm kind of okay. This looks okay. I'm going to take this at face value.
And like, yeah, we got to move on from this anyway, but this kind of segues into other parts. But no, like, I agree with you at face value for now until we find out more, because we don't have anything more to go on. To me, this feels like, okay, this looks like and evokes a lot of the things the fans have been wanting. Now, everybody's had their nitpickings and pedantic stuff about it. But overall, I look at it as, like you just said, we have a cast that for the most part looks like what we'd expect the Fantastic Four to look like.
Yep.
We got great
Burt
looking
Reynolds
costumes. Yep. Burt Reynolds. Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking of Pedro as Burt Reynolds.
That would have been bad casting back then too, man. Ain't nobody gonna buy Burt Reynolds as Reed Richards.
Oh, he would be awesome.
No. He'd be a great Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd be Reed Richards. No.
Still, I'm hoping, to me, that would be.
No, Burt Reynolds would have made a pretty good Tony Stark back in the day, I think.
But look at the two of them. It's a heterosexual couple and they're like.
Well, yeah, and it's taking place in the 60s. That's what I wanted to say too, is we all wanted that part too. But
yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually enjoying each other's company. How many people in Disney did they have to knock on the head or put, knock them out with tranquilizers?
Quite a few, I should imagine. Yeah. Quite a few, I should imagine. But yeah, I think that this movie is something that, depending on execution, has potential. The big worry here, of course, is Kevin Feige, as correctly pointed out.
Sure.
The director, let's be honest, it's a Marvel movie. There was a time when the director actually could bring something to the equation, but that time is long since over. In this particular case, as has been the case in most recent movies, the director is there to point the camera and shoot, while Kevin Feige and his team micromanages whatever is on screen. So I honestly couldn't care less who directs unless the director is allowed to have some level of input in the proceedings. I do not know what this director stands for, so I don't care. Looking at this, what gives me some level of hope here is the robot. That means that someone at least has superficial knowledge of the past iterations of the Fantastic Four, including the animated series with the robot instead of the Thing. So that's like a nice little touch right there. I don't think that anything is going to make us nostalgic for the early 2000s movies, which is where the question first came from, because the Tranktastic Four couldn't do that. So then why should this be able to do that?
But one little what do you call it? Clue, reading the tea leaves, the director specifically said that the Fantastic Four was all about science. and they used science to, and I'm paraphrasing, to solve their problems. And I went, wow, okay, I'm in. That's
I'm not, because it's about two things. People say it's about family. I put that way, way down on the third list of things. The Fantastic Four were never interesting for themselves. The science part of it, yeah, but that is the secondary thing. To me, the big thing, what everyone needs to understand, why everyone wanted the Fantastic Four to revert back to Marvel when Fox were doing their Fantastic movie, wasn't because of the Fantastic Four. It has nothing to do with the Fantastic Four. What everyone wanted was the villains. The Fantastic Four, more than any other team, is about the villains. Because, yeah, the technology
oh yeah.
is only instrumental
No,
in
no,
that
no, of course,
it
of
is what
course.
allows them to get to their gallery of villains. And they have the best, most exciting, colorful MCU villains of them all. You have Galactus, but you also have Annihilus, you have the
Mhm.
Negative Zone, you have all of these spaced out cosmic side of things, which begun with the Fantastic Four. That's the true strength of the Fantastic Four right there. It's the gateway to the cosmic side of things,
Well,
which
and
is
you have the
something the
Watcher.
MCU needs to get back to. Exactly, all of that, all of that.
Oh, it's
That's the
great stuff. There's just
that's the real thing that they need to understand. That as long as they make the Fantastic Four tolerable to watch, and we get to enjoy their adventures with everything, then they kind of have done their job, because honestly, very few are in it for the team themselves. It's all about their villains and their adventures.
oh, the soap opera between them is always bullshit. I mean, I know we
Exactly, that's what I mean. See, even you have that. Oh, that's even bullshit. The stuff that's defining part of the character themselves. That's just bullshit. No one really cares. That's what I mean. No
oh, it's
one
always
really
strained.
cares about the Fantastic Four. It's everything around them that makes them appealing. That's why people wanted the rights to revert. They didn't care anything about the Fantastic Four themselves. They wanted Silver Surfer. They wanted Galactus. They wanted all of that cosmic stuff to be in the MCU. That's why people wanted the rights back with Marvel, and now they're there. Is when Marvel have lost all our faith. Go figure. That irony.
Well, I
People
mean,
would rather they go back to Fox again.
apparently we'll have the female Silver Surfer, which there was, but that was later on in the series. Maybe they'll have Zendaya in that outfit, the plexiglass Silver Surfer.
Well, she's already in the MCU, isn't she?
Pardon?
Yeah,
Yes, she is.
she's MJ.
She's MJ. Yeah.
But she's forgotten
Yeah.
all about Spider-Man now, so she needs never be seen again. So I guess they can recast her as something
That's
else.
true. I liked her as MJ.
Yeah, I liked her too.
Well, let's see what else is going on in the chat. We've got Dark King here who says for 34 months he's been here, that is. 34
Wow.
months in, and I'm still here. Congratulations.
Someone
Disney
open
be
the door,
sued?
let him out.
Right? Can Disney be sued for racist politics business practices, or does some individual or group have to prove that they have been specifically harmed in court?
Well, someone's
is a
already
great
done a
question.
video on that.
Yes, indeed. In fact, it's going to be our main topic, or one of our main topics this morning. We're actually waiting for some counsel on that, so we'll see if they show up here in the next few minutes, and we'll get on that topic. But in the meantime, we'll run through a few more of these super chats, and then one way or another, we'll get on that topic. So hold that thought. MrTickleTrunk sends in $2 Canadian. As Tom, those are the lipitophemy and addicative. Lopidophamine and addictive. Yeah, that thing that you were talking about with the balls. STR Red Wolf has been a member for 16 months. Thank you for that. And sent in a super sticker for $1.99. And it is a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that here. And we got Tomac. Whoops. Oh, STR Red Wolf is sending in $2 to thumbs up, filling in for Dr. Long Dongler. Well, just be careful because Dr. Long Dongler may tell you to put that thumb in a place you don't want to. We don't know yet. But then on that note, Tomac sends in $20. Thank you so much. Because with all this golf talk, it seems like you're fading into Paniga. Did I say that right? How do you say that?
Is that
Paniga?
like some video game or something? I think that's like a golf game.
I think so.
Panya. Panya?
Panya?
Penguin.
Yeah, it's fantasy golf. It's like a
Oh,
weeb looking golf game, like with anime looking characters.
you know, it's funny that anime hasn't done a major golf. I'm sure there's a major golf anime, considering how crazy the Japanese are over golf.
But they are.
Maybe that's what this is.
Maybe. Is that a question, Andre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they crazy about golf? I had
Oh
no
my
idea.
God, yes.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit. Yeah, they
Yeah.
are all over golf.
Yeah. Well, Joe Pat 87 sends in 499 says Iger's energy in the leaked videos. This town means as much to me as the festering bowl of dog snot. Yeah. Well, Joe Pat, on that note, that video and some other things are probably going to get Bob in some hot water. And somebody who may have a thing or two to say about that is one of our greatest legal minds of our time. Andrew
Esquire.
Andrew Esquire. Yeah.
Yeah, but what
Esquire,
are you?
Esquire,
You're
yes,
like
yes.
are you Kim Jong Andrew Un? Or
I'm King Jong Andrew Un right now. This is Kim Jong Andrew because before I go to bed, I am
no
about
problem.
as demanding as Kim Jong Un. But
Yeah.
no, it's good to hang out with you guys here today. And talk about this diversity lawsuit, which I think I was so happy to see that I was right once again. I mean, I'm just getting so many W's this week. I'm tickled. I'm absolutely loving it because I said on February 7th, I tweeted it out, and I think I said it on your show and Pro's show and other folks. The second I saw that rubric and a quota,
Right.
I said that's evidence, that's direct evidence. You cannot have a racial quota, period. Right? I mean, that's just hands down not permissible.
You know
And
what's
when you
really
say-
awesome? So I
What's
didn't want
awesome?
to interrupt, but basically, you said that on our stream, and yesterday, the day that this lawsuit was made public, I published no less than 4 stream clips of you from the last week and a half at Midnight's Edge, including one where you predicted just this, and then just hours later, boom. There's the lawsuit. So how's that for predictive powers?
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate that. That's why I love coming on your channels, because it's like, I can say it on my channel, but it helps to come on, I've come on everybody's channel, and I have people that can say, definitively, no, Andrew actually said this, and this came through like pretty much right away, because it's a layup. I mean, whenever you see something that's such a layup, that somebody's going to dunk that. And, I'm not surprised that Miller and the American First Law Firm, they're very much proactive on these types of cases. I'm not surprised that they're taking the mantle here. Now, of course, this has to clear the EEOC. So, you have to kind of exhaust your administrative remedies first before bringing a claim. So they've got to send this to the EEOC. So what I read on my channel, and I've got a clip of that out if you want me to see me reviewing the complaint to the EEOC, the letter, right? That's the first step of a lawsuit. So this is just the beginning of what will be a long battle for Disney.
Are they doing it on behalf of an individual?
In this particular case, they have to at least have one individual, right? But they could certify a class here potentially.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the folks, for instance, that have been talking to Alan Ng and Chris Gore over at Film Threat. There's a lot of individuals there. I'm sure that lost jobs or such that could probably be a part of this. Like, I see this being big. Like, this is a big step towards.
How big this
Andrew.
is?
Yeah,
how big this is? And this is the thing that the lawsuit really hits home. And you have to understand, I said it and I'll say it again. This isn't just who is hired, my guys. This is who is promoted. This is what training was received. This is about the grant programs that Disney has. They have an underrepresented group grant program that gives out, $25K for underrepresented groups. This goes so deep and so far and can hit so many levels. There could literally be hundreds that fall into this class easily. It's not difficult to imagine that. This is something that can actually go far.
Does some of this also derive from the Supreme Court knocking down affirmative action?
I think that
that'll play into it. Yeah,
that bolsters the argument. It certainly bolsters the argument, Paul, but it's not necessary for this, because this is such clear evidence of this isn't even affirmative action. This is beyond it. This is a race quota. There are decades and decades of clear case law that says you cannot have race quotas. I mean, that's just something. I mean, imagine, let me put it this way. Imagine we're in a world where it's flipped around. Would that be okay?
Well, we are in a world that's flipped around.
Well, yeah, no,
Well,
I
you're
know,
not wrong,
That's
but yeah.
exactly what we're in.
I mean, if you pull up the rubric, right, and you replaced underrepresented groups with white people, would that be okay?
Right. That's yeah.
And the irony here
It's the same.
is that
The analysis is the same.
underrepresented groups are
Yeah.
not underrepresented.
No, that's the
They
joke.
are overrepresented as it
Absolutely.
is right now. And what these quotas, especially the ones with Disney, do, they make groups that are already overrepresented ridiculously overrepresented. The only ones who are underrepresented are white males. They are
Yes.
truly underrepresented,
Well,
and they are being kept to be even more underrepresented.
I'll go one step further, and they're even being weeded out, right? Like we going to our
Yes.
report we dropped this morning. Like that's what I was referring to with the film threat thing. As Andre so eloquently, put it in the video from the article itself. So we got to give credit where credit's due. That basically you had this whole group of DEI people coming in who had little to no animation experience, but yet we're getting tons and tons of training on how to basically oust their older white counterparts and then
Yes.
take their jobs.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane. Like you just said, flip that around to anybody else. If you were doing that to women, if you're doing that to black people, if you're doing that to Asian, like it would just blow up.
It's clearly not okay, right? Like it's clearly not okay. I mean, if it was in any other circumstance, you would be like, wait, what? What's going on here? If they were portraying the statistics how they portrayed them, any other way, it would be clear to everybody it's not okay. It's just because we have been so beaten down to accept anti-white racism as okay. We have been so bullied into thinking it's okay that no one dared to speak up. But finally, when they went over the edge with this, now they're being held accountable when this went public. And mind you guys, this is something that, look, as corporate counsel, I can tell you this. People were trying to do this without saying it. Okay. I mean, they were doing it without putting it in writing. Where Disney messed up is they put it in writing. No, they were, Tom. They've been doing
I was just going to say, because you've got that whole thing with the DEI thing. Sorry, that's what I was going to refer to. Yeah, where they're trying to basically make excuses for this shit.
I'll give a good example, right? I worked at a Fortune 500 company. My boss was a female. The entire time she worked, she thought I was a liberal, first of all, right? And she, because I never mentioned my political affiliation, she just assumed. And she came out and straight up told me, she's like, yeah, I'm trying not to hire too many country Trump supporter types at the corporation. So I'm really trying to figure out, when I interview people who they are, what their affiliations are. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I was out of there within a year, by the way, before they rolled out the pronouns. But what I'm saying is these things, people do these things, people go those directions, right? So it's just they know, especially lawyers know, not to put this in writing. What is shocking to me is that Disney put this in writing, put these standards in writing, and put a quota in writing. To me, that is just, I don't know, it's either sheer hubris or they just had a bunch of yes men that were working for them that greenlit this. But this is one of the clearest open and shut cases I have seen regarding racial discrimination.
Well, what I was getting at was basically that it's like you just said, they put it in writing. It's like they already knew what they were doing was wrong. And that was like that thing that we went through with the questionnaire or whatever, where it's like, well, is this racist that we're doing this shit? And it's like, well, clearly the answer is yes, but then their answer is no, because da 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 da. And it's like, wait a minute here. That's some gaslighting on a whole nother level. And to me, that tells me they knew exactly what they were doing. Right?
Oh yeah,
they were trying to come up with excuses for it. And Andre, you were about to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was basically going to bring up exactly the same thing that you did, Tom. only I was going to frame it slightly differently, but the same basic thing, because this is the same thing that we spoke about last week. Because for Disney, it wasn't just this one document that says these are our standards and these are our goals for this category and this category and this category. As Tom was alluding to, they also had this frequently asked questions, which is basically how to interpret the other main document. And this is where all the legalese was. This is where they basically put in writings that they have plausible deniability, that no, we do not discriminate, and this does not mean that you are supposed to hire someone that doesn't have merit to be hired. And then it says further up on the very same page, in slightly different words, that yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do, and we do quote us and everything. So you only had like the legal disclaimers that had to be there, surrounded by writing, which basically says that these legal disclaimers mean nothing, because this standard is what actually means something. But still, you have the sentence there that gives that legal protection. How's that going to hold?
This is not, and well, Andre, it's not. It's the facade of legal protection, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
It's not real legal protection. You can't do this. Okay. Let me give a great example. You can't say, don't murder anybody, but also, hey, I murdered somebody. Right? Like you can't do both things, right? You have to say, okay, like don't be racist. Like we're not going to be racist, but also be racist. You have to say, okay, no, we are not going to at all use race to not even as a factor, right? In the hiring process, the promotion process, the training process. Just giving this statement that anyone involved in hiring is prohibited from asking candidates about talent, that's not okay. And they actually undermine that by saying, context is key when evaluating if a group is underrepresented. What they're trying to say is profile people, but don't ask them specifically about their race, religion, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, veteran status, age, disability, or legally protected category. They're saying, well, just don't ask them about it. That's not the law. The law is you cannot use this as a factor for training opportunities, right? For giving benefits, for having extra internships, apprenticeships. They put pretty much the cornucopia of things you cannot do in this.
I thought it was funny that they added military and veterans, because I would imagine that would be the last group this group of left-wing individuals would actually ever want to entertain.
Chato, what they did is they copy pasted a list of the actual of the quote unquote protected groups.
Well, well, hold on one second. Amazon's document similar to this actually reads worse.
Well, that's worse on Amazon, right? I mean, but
they're
it doesn't
probably
make
next in line. Yeah,
it doesn't make it better, right? Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no.
I mean, Amazon
I'm not saying that. And to me, from a human perspective, I don't think there's anyone who would disagree that Hollywood is an old boys, and I'm using boys in a euphemistic way, place, and you hire the people that you like working with, and generally speaking, there was a, the white guys would get to know the white guys at university or film school, and then just keep using the same people, and they'd find some kind of European DOP that they wanted to work with all the time and stuff like that. So there's no question that Hollywood need a little bit of a shake that said, hey, look, look maybe a little farther afield for other people. Don't be so hidebound. And perhaps that's really all. Maybe I'm being utopian. That was all that was needed. This stuff here, this entrenched, legalized form of a quota system, I mean, is illegal. And
yes.
the upshot of it is that I've never heard more racist talk now than ever before.
Well, that's just
it's wild. It's wild.
Well, what I was going to say real
this
quick
is causing
Paul,
more
basically,
racism.
Everything that we have fought for in the last 50 years, this is going against and resetting, basically. The only difference is now is that the only people who are being left out are white men, right? And I
Mhm.
disagree just a little bit that Hollywood has always been a men's boys club. To a point, but it's been a lot of women involved as well throughout the years too. It's been a little bit more open,
Well, also one
especially
thing we do have to
anything.
acknowledge is like
Yeah.
who are the qualified people. This is like something that I think is an issue.
The difference is that
an
women come in
analysis.
and they expect to be an actress or a producer or something like that. They don't want to do the grunt work just like every other job. That's the thing. That being said, I see what you're highlighting here, and that goes right to the whole sex discrimination part of it. But yeah.
Yeah, and let me just note this is like a 2-second one. I'll use it from the legal profession, right? So back in the day, they used to say law was a boys' club, right? That was the old saying. Everyone said, "Oh, lawyers, old boys' club," right? There weren't female lawyers. They just women
Right.
did not go to law school, right? So you can't hire somebody
Right.
when there's nobody available
You
because
don't have a pool to work from.
right. Exactly. Right. There's no pool. But now, actually, females outnumber men in law school wildly now. So the profession is completely flipped. Now it's majority female. Right. And that whole old boys club thing went away, but the pool is completely changed. Right. So we have to always look at that. And a lot of times people will spout off about sexism or whatever, but they're completely ignoring the pool. For example, with engineers, right? I get along very well with engineers. I've dated a lot of engineers, female engineers. And
I'm condolences.
no, I actually get along well with them, but they always say, "Oh no, engineering is totally sexist." Well, no. How many men are graduating from engineering programs? Oh, 80 to 90%. Well, that's the pool, right? They can only hire 10%. They can't hire anymore.
So what Disney is doing is basically creating a dam here, is what they're doing.
Yes.
Just like
yes. They're creating an artificial construct, right? So anyways, what I highlighted here is the law. This is not my opinion. This is the law. An unlawful employment practice is established when the evidence demonstrates that the race, color, religion, sex, or national origin is a motivating factor for any employment practice. Okay? So let's just be clear about that. That's the law. It doesn't say except white people. It doesn't say except for Jews, except for Christians, because by the way, they're alleging that this discriminates against white males, heterosexuals, as well as Christians and people who are of a Jewish faith, right? So they add that in there as well. So it doesn't say that there's exceptions to that. There are no exceptions to that at all. And Disney, and so this is the law, right? And this is the conclusion that naturally follows. Disney admits and affirms that it knowingly and intentionally uses race, color, sex, and national origin as a motivating factor in its employment practices. The rubric is straight up. It doesn't hide it at all. It's open. That's why this one is very much open and shut. It's even said that, like this down in here, to shareholders, investors in the SEC. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where I bring up our good friend Nelson Peltz, because if he does not get a seat on that board, this man and any other shareholder, really major shareholder, has a major ability to come back here and come at the Disney Corporation for using these tactics, which have now damaged the company and are leading to lawsuits. Iger has knowingly engaged in these programs, knowing they are a liability for the corporation. That is a dereliction of his duty, as duty to shareholders, duty to the board, right? To protect the corporation, knowingly engaging in illegal activity and facilitating this seemingly for a while, right? And let's see, facilitating the limiting, segregating, or classifying of employees for employment or new business in ways that would tend to deprive white, male, or heterosexual employments of employment, training, promotions because of their race, color, sex, or national origin. It's very, very, very open and shut, the law in this case. So this is why this one to me was so clear when I first saw it. It kind of jumped out to me. And why it's going to be a big problem here. Now, they have to go through the EEOC before they file their lawsuit. So this is actually the quote unquote complaint is actually just the letter from the lawsuit to the director of the EEOC. So they are going to have to approve of this going to court, which they will. They always will.
The one thing I want to add just from a cultural perspective is, again, my experiences back in the 90s. I would say there was some unconscious racism. I mean,
sure.
But if you were competent, you got hired, and it was a convivial, very family-oriented process. And I saw when I was there a certain studio hiring individuals that were openly hostile to other groups, not ignorant or unawares of, which I think was the problem at the time. And all we needed was more awareness. We now have places like Disney now who are openly hostile. And I don't know how you can
Yes.
work in that environment.
You can't. You really can't.
Well, I
And
think
look,
it finally came to a head. Exactly. Yeah.
I'll say this. Look, we won't like it. I don't like it. I don't advocate for it. But if all they were doing was like unconscious bias trainings, right? So Paul, you talked about like unconscious bias. Look, and maybe that was an issue at some point. And if they just wanted to do unconscious bias trainings, look, I think that topic is sometimes taken over by the woke. I think it's sometimes abused. But technically, they're a private corporation. They can do that. They can give their employees unconscious bias training. That's totally permissible, right? They want to give them, seminars or whatever, lectures on eliminating unconscious bias. That's fine. That's totally fine. This is not that.
Right.
This is
Oh, no. Quote. This is a quota system.
Employment, right? This is hiring, training, firing, employing. This is not something that's just involving, a training. Right. You can make people go to as many annoying trainings as you want. You're wasting their time as an employee, but you can do that if you want to, right? That's your prerogative as an employer. But to do this and mess with their pay, mess with their promotions, that is where the line is crossed.
And that's where I was referring. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a question about that, because lines obviously have been crossed here. What I'm curious about is who's on the hook for this? Because there's a lawsuit, but who is responsible, and what kind of trouble are they in? Is this like a purely corporate affair where no individual is responsible? It all goes away if some checks are handed over, then they can carry on as before. Or is this something where they're going to go after certain individuals who are responsible for this? What's the legal consequence of this?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because I mean, obviously, with different firms, different clients, they could have different objectives. The objective for most people is typically just to recover, right? So, to be completely honest, this could end up with checks being handed over. I mean, and once again, I'm pretty straightforward with my conclusions and my realistic conclusions as to what's going to happen, right?
On the other end of this, couldn't Disney turn around and say, well, we were just following along with this rhetoric, and then point to some, race group or whatever, and then try to pass the buck that way? Or how would something like that work?
They're not going to get out of it that way. They can't get out.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask.
They can't get out of a race quota. Now, the bigger issue is, Tom, they're going to have to stop it. See, the check is one thing, but the PR black eye of having to take down this DEI program, that's a bigger thing for them. Well, that's the bigger loss, is they have to, and it's the ABC, the Disney, and the precedent. Because remember, Disney sets precedent. Disney sets industry standards. This is literally their inclusion standard. It wipes this out of the entire industry if they lose this. That's the bigger thing. That's the bigger thing that gets stopped here, is knowing this is impermissible and just wiping it off the floor. I think that's the best part about this case. Not even the money is one thing, but I mean, the precedent is another.
Well, it's like, you were saying earlier, the whole, the smoking gun here is not just the quota that was in, that posted by Elon and that came out a couple of years back from ABC. It's, to me, the smoking gun is that questionnaire we went over. That, to me, was the bigger smoking gun. But we have another guest joining us, as promised. Here's Mr. YellowFlash. How you doing?
Yo, hey. Here to talk about serious stuff.
That's right. Well, we're gonna get to some
Flash. You're yellow.
Are you Flash?
We're gonna get to some X-Men here in just a little bit. But
yeah, that's a shame what they're doing to that.
But first,
women are just long backs. Women are just long backs and legs now. No,
well, we're just talking.
Well, they already non-binary morph, right? So we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to all that.
We'll talk about it.
But finishing all this up here, because my point is that is it illegal to kill somebody? No, but if you do it this way, it's okay, because we're not doing it. We're doing it in the name of diversity. That's basically the way that whole thing came off.
Yes. That's what they're saying. That's literally what they're saying. It's okay, we're breaking the crime because we're doing it in the name of diversity. No, it's still a crime, right? This wasn't a crime. This is a civil.
We're dismantling. We're dismantling the patriarchy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all against white men.
The white straight
It's basically
people.
stereo instructions on how to discriminate against white people.
On behalf of all old white men, I'd just like to apologize for everything.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, it's
to
your
apologize,
fault then,
Paul.
because
It's
whenever
mine.
you apologize, that's admitting guilt and saying you can
Yes.
come for me. Now my punishment begins.
I am
This is the end of it.
genuflecting before you.
He
Now,
may be a
You need to
masochist
sell your
who wants a
house,
struggle
all your
section.
possessions, and give it to a person of color.
That's
Then
the
you
only-
live on the
only-
street for the rest of your life. That's
I'm buying them tickets to Wakanda.
Yes, one-way tickets to Wakanda would be great. But yeah, so what do you think the chances, Andrew? Like, I guess we got a couple super chats that have questions
Sure.
for you on this matter. We'll get to too, but I mean, I got to ask the question that everybody asks when it comes to these, and that is,
yeah.
what chances do you think that this case has right now?
I mean, it's gonna like, and this is the thing. What is victory, right? That's always what is victory, right? Is this going to give a massive PR black eye to Disney? Absolutely. Is it going to pass a motion to dismiss? Yes. Right. This is clear on the face. Are they probably going to settle it out? Sure. Is that a victory? Is a PR black eye setting a precedent and getting a settlement which brings justice in the eyes of these clients to them a victory? I think it is. Right. I think it is. Right. I mean, not every case is going to be out there and it's going to financially ruin the Walt Disney Company. We're not going to get that. But this is a death by 1,000 cuts. This is a Disney messing up again and again and again. And also, this is at a time when Bob Iger can't afford this level of scrutiny, right? They're going to have scrutiny into their DEI program, scrutiny into what was going on regarding Gina Carano. They're going to have scrutiny into what was going on with Reedy Creek. There's so much going on here that's probing into their corporation that, I mean, it's just, the risks and the liabilities for Disney are massive. And we know that behind, or rather under the rat's tail, it's kind of dirty. We know that. We know the more we're going to get into this, there's going to be more dirt. There's going to be more problems we discover because we haven't even seen under the hood yet. We haven't even taken a look. So I think this has a very good chance of getting to a point where we get very, very interesting information about their DEI program. I would love to see the discovery on their DEI program and the conversation that led to forming this and who was involved in this. Oh man, that would be fantastic. And I do think we'll get some of that.
Yeah. Very brief question before the super chats.
Sure.
Disney aren't the only ones. Amazon are doing this as well. So is
Yes.
Netflix, but Amazon are the big ones where we have seen the documents. I mean, we covered them 2 years ago, and they're even worse now. Why should all the others be off the hook? I know that the organization behind this is going, the AFL, America First Legal, is going first and foremost after Disney, which I don't think is a coincidence. But shouldn't someone be going after Amazon and the others doing exactly the same thing as well?
I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before that happens. I think the heat for Amazon is coming. Amazon just hasn't been as much in the spotlight. Amazon, for better or for worse, whatever it is, they've managed to dodge the spotlight, you know? So I think that Amazon could very much be subject to it. They might have less folks in the class. They might have less folks that have spoken out about it. It might be a newer policy. Disney's done it for longer, right? So you have to find people that have been damaged by this, right? So that's another thing about this.
I think part of the problem is because, like you guys said, the Amazon one is worse, right? Well, and this is, I guess, a question for you, Andrew. In theory, wouldn't it be smarter to go after the smaller, harder case first and then see if that wins? Because if then that wins, the slam dunk then would be Amazon after that, I would think. Because they're
I'm not.
Because they're a bigger fish to fry at the end of the day, and I would think it'd be an easier case to deal with if you already have Disney under your belt as a precedent set.
It's possible. Like, is it possible? Yeah, but I don't know.
This is not going to go away simply. You're going to get every single person with pronouns in their Twitter bio are going to explode now. And what you're going to get is every single CRT race grifter out there, like the Kennedys, are going to play this up. This is going to become huge. They're going to frame this as white supremacists trying to take back the South. That's what how this is going to be framed.
I wish you were joking. But
I'm not.
I know you're dead serious. Yeah, I know
I'm
you're
dead serious. And here I usually joke, but no, I can see, because one of the things as a Canadian that I observe with the United States, bless your hearts, is that no one ever goes halfway on anything. It is just pedal to the metal on every side. It's like one of the most fascinating things I observe about you Yanks is just it's everything gets monster truck, no matter which side you're on. And I'm just waiting now for the backlash from the critical race theory grifters on this. It's going to be huge.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Super chats.
Yes, we had a couple specifically about this. Andrew says, can you imagine, or ActionCom says for Andrew for $10, can you imagine, Andrew, what Gen Z Mafia would look like? They wouldn't keep ledgers, but they would have online PDF documents on how to hide money. The wink and a nod art of unsaid is dead.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's be real. I mean, let's be honest. This stuff used to go down in the gentleman's club and be unsaid and whatever. There were the dark smoky rooms. Those did exist, right? But now, and people knew, always in cash, never in writing. But the new generation is just absolutely incompetent and incapable, and everything will be documented, right? They're gonna have everything online. It's all gonna be online. The world of analog is completely gone, right? So yeah, the Gen Z is not going to be able to hide anything. They're going to have, evidence in Snapchats. They're going to have evidence on TikTok, wherever else, right? Whatever new platform comes out, we're going to have, discovery into that. That's one of the biggest worlds that's changed in the legal realm, is that, we're having more and more electronic evidence. So Gen Z is going to have so much electronic evidence. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts.
Yeah. See, at least that's one thing we were always taught. If you're going to do something bad, don't get caught.
Exactly. Yeah. We're the last generation who knows how to cover our tracks.
Pretty much.
We may have gotten sloppy.
Yeah. I have often thought what's going to happen with the very first presidential candidate who has been online their entire life and all the stuff that's going to be dredged up through all their online activity. That's going to be
coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think flashes we're seeing it already with some of the younger guys and gals who are getting into politics, right? Like it never fails.
Did you see did you see with RFK? People found those posts of him like swooning over women.
I saw that, but you know what my response to that was? So he's a Kennedy?
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
If anything, it made me like him more.
Yeah.
He's a typical Kennedy. What the fuck? Oh, yeah. You put a pretty woman in front of them and they go gaga. That's what they do.
I always loved that National Lampoon ad, which they got sued over, where they did the Volkswagen Bug ad, where it was if Teddy Kennedy was driving a Volkswagen Bug, he'd be president now. Because the Volkswagen ad that they were parodying was that you could put it in water and it wouldn't sink.
Yeah, the irony of a Kennedy ogling a good-looking woman is
what a shock,
right? Like never.
A man in general. It's like when they tried to go after Trump for like womanizing and talking about grabbing him by the pussy.
But the difference is
increased his popularity. I think that increased his popularity. Yeah, and that dropped a couple of weeks before the election.
But
that was back in 2016, wasn't it?
Right? Yeah.
Yes, it does matter who's saying it. Big time.
Yep.
Because that's the whole thing, It's like Billy could get away with murder, and that's the other side of it. But this is not going to be about whataboutism. This is going to be about the super chat here. Is this live? Sends in $5 Canadian and says the irony of having Andrew with a Chairman Mao avatar speak about civil rights is delightful.
It's Kim Jong-un. You are exiled. Is this live? You're exiled.
He's so ornery.
So ornery.
Give me Eric Bowen.
And canceled. All right.
The irony of that is hilarious.
Well, the thing is, we can have fun with that kind of stuff. More and more people on the left are just not funny anymore. Usually,
No.
comedy used to come
so
from the
true.
left, and it not anymore.
Yeah. Radio Man 1017 sends in 5 and says, I worked for that major company that begins with an A. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
My boss told me that if they knew I voted for T, I would be fired.
Mhm.
Told me to keep it quiet. So yeah, that's
I
against
heard
the
a
law.
lot. Trust me, and that's one. I mean, I said I had a supervisor who directly said that, right? So this is what they used to, and like they were smart lawyers. They knew not to say it, right? They knew not to say it. That's why I was just aghast that Disney put it in writing. It's just, to me, it's stupidity. It's not even. I mean, every lawyer knows this, right? So all of their in-house counsel should be just immediately fired. Right? Because what type of they're useless. They're just yes men sycophants. Oh, yes, Bob, we'll do that right away. Nobody decided to raise their hand and say, you know, guys, we really can't write this down.
Well, I'm so glad that they have Gen Z lawyers who don't know anything about the law. So,
And you know what? It's not wrong, because like I said, at least in Orlando, at least in the Walt Disney World Orlando offices, it was always the worst candidates that ended up at Disney. Always the worst.
huh.
As their in-house folks.
And again, we're living with a generation of people, or multiple generations of people, where people are really concerned. Like whoever the I used to say that don't kill the messenger, read the message. Like, believe the message, don't kill the messenger. Now it's just really all about killing the messenger. I'm not a particularly religious person, but a company in the United States have very religious individuals, hired us, loved our work, and now been telling other people. And we have a lot of clients in the United States who come from that background, and we service them to the best of our abilities, and they tell other people, and nobody cares. We also don't talk about that kind of stuff. It's all about the work. And the thing is, they're all good people. And I think there's more good people online, especially on Twitter, but it's not a great place to build friendships. It's a horrible place. And it's one of the things that concerns me more than anything else. And all these people with pronouns in their bios are the most vile individuals. They say the worst things. They're the first ones to swear at you. So,
Well, no,
peace
it's kind
out,
of
guys.
ironic that social media isn't very social, right?
No, it's not.
I mean,
That's
it
true.
makes you
Antisocial.
very antisocial, actually.
So I don't
but
care.
yeah,
I have clients who are Trump supporters. Why do I care?
Yes, exactly.
why?
Why is it relevant?
Why is
it
it
never
relevant?
used to be such a big deal. That's the thing. Like, I don't understand. But anyway, Sonic Stance sends in $2. Says Iger, Feige, Kennedy, all very white. Well, yeah, but see, they mean the other white people.
And when he made that statement, guys, it really raked across me. Do you watch the video with Iger talking about, well, we did Black Panther?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's
of
going to
course.
factor into this because,
He acted like he was MLK. The guy acted like Malcolm X. It's just the most cringe, and it is of itself racism to say making a movie about Black Panthers is social justice. Like, what?
Well,
it's
My favorite part is when he pats himself on the back for it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing is it's not just him, though. It's this whole group of these people that are literally thinking they're doing shit that is what is important as the civil rights movement and the gay rights movement. And we have Paul here who actually was, old enough to remember the actual gay rights movement.
I was part
It
of
actually
it.
was there. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
there.
I mean, we've already
crazy.
gone past this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
And
was there still some progress to be made? Yes, but this is over progress. This is, like you said, Andre, put it best. This is the over representation, right?
This is over representation. That's one thing, but it's also hyper correction. And a hyper correction is when there's something you think is a mistake, but that isn't, and you correct that, so you turn something that was right and you make it wrong.
Yeah, and we're living at a time where a whole bunch of people from universities are getting work, which otherwise they wouldn't have any kind of employment at all without CRT and DEI, which are, we all know is now a complete waste, because and I tell people this, the goal of CRT and DEI is not to solve a problem, it's to survive forever. That's its goal. Its goal is
CRT,
never
you
ending.
mean
That is its
ESG?
goal.
You mean ESG?
No,
Or
No, no,
CRT?
no, not ESG.
Critical
I'm
race
talking about,
theory. Okay.
It's
I'm talking-
related.
It's
It's
the
related,
same
but it's not
basic
the same.
thing almost.
yeah,
But-
its goal is not to find a solution. It's like the drug companies, where at the turn of the century, governments actually funded cures. Like, we don't have polio, we don't have whooping cough. There's a whole bunch of things that actually ended because governments funded vaccines. Now
Right.
we've got pharmaceutical companies that are in the maintenance business. That is their goal. They don't want to cure anything.
No,
And that's
no.
what DEI, that's what all this other, critical race theory, queer theory, all this stuff in universities and in businesses. It's they want.
I can show them.
Okay.
Thank you, Siri. So
I can't wait to see your porn later.
Yeah,
long as there's no
that's
horse
all they're
cocks in there, I
interested
think
in
we'll
is
be
maintenance and ongoing work.
Rip Vosh.
No, but yeah, no, and this goes back to what Andrew and I were kind of back and forth about earlier, where we were talking about the pool, right? Because that's what CRT and all this stuff does. Is it's creating a problem where there wasn't a problem. The problem is okay, so there's not enough black people in this, or there's not enough women in STEM, or there's not enough this, that, and the other. The problem isn't that there's not enough doors open to them. The problem is that there's just not enough women in the pool. So they're creating an artificial dam, which is illegal, right? Like, that's what this all boils down to. And at the end of the day, we already were at this point where, for the most part, didn't matter what color you were, didn't matter if you were a woman or man, as long as you did the work, you went to school, or you got the training, or you did what you did, you could get into that work. And in most cases, especially in what we would consider man's work, if you're a woman who could actually get to that point where you could work alongside the men, you were more respected than most of the men in the room.
That's true.
Right? Because that's the thing, is most men know that chick had to work twice as hard as all of us to get here. Right? And that's respect. It's earned. Right? That's another thing that nobody knows about anymore, is earned respect. And none of these places are earned. And that takes me right back to the film threat report, where you had all these people who are being more trained in how to get rid of the old white people and take their jobs than actually to do their fucking jobs. Now, if they'd actually make themselves worthwhile, they wouldn't have to worry about this, because they'd actually have those fucking jobs in the first place, because they would have been good enough in the first place. None of these people are, and I'll tell you what, sure, you could be saying, oh, it's just movies, it's just that and the other. I don't know about you, but I would not want to be questioning the doctor walking into the room that's going to give me an operation because they're a woman, or because they're not white, or whatever, because are they qualified enough anymore? See, that's the shit we used to get yelled at for being racist. Now you're actually putting us in a position to be saying those things, and we have a reason to be saying those, because now we're worried, is this doctor actually qualified, or did he just get the job because they had to hire somebody to fill a quota?
Listen, Claudine Gay was eminently qualified.
Yeah.
I
can give.
Sorry, I had to let out a rant. It's been a while.
That was good. That was good. I was enjoying it. My popcorn was queued up.
Yeah. When I next time go to America, and I will be looking at the pilots. Like before, I see a black pilot, I don't care, because I know that pilot is a pilot. They're all certified. These are all professionals. Female pilots, I don't care. I've been flying with a female pilot. She passed all stuff like that. She probably had to work twice as hard as any man. It's going to be twice as capable. Cool, bring it on. Now, whenever you see a pilot of color or a female pilot, you have every reason in the world to question if they actually should be there, or if they are pure diversity DEI hires. Hell, you can't even trust a white pilot, because he might be neurodivergent and might be a DEI hire as well. Because
and more than likely an alcoholic.
I mean, they specifically are looking for people with various levels of mental abnormalities just to make them pilots. These are the kind of people that you want to keep out from being pilots. They now want to usher in. So I'm like, next time I come to America, I'm taking a boat.
I don't know. I don't. And Andre.
Yeah, but who's steering the boat?
Oh, well, and that's the thing, is that they forgot that basically white men set the bar, right? Like, you can either go above or below. Like, it's not like that's just the way it was. It's just we had set the bar because we had that position for so long. We get that, right? We accepted that. We have acknowledged that. We've gone past that, right? And even in the workplace, when we see assholes being dickheads to whether it's a woman or someone of color or what have you, in most cases, they get called out for it. That's what's so stupid about this thing. And this is what we've said a million times over. The only places that needed any fixing were in corporate America and Hollywood. And it had little to do with the diversity factor, and had more to do with, basically fixing, the Me Too issue, which at first was a good thing, but then it turned into this whole other thing where people, of course, as usual, abuse something, right? That's just the way it goes. And this whole thing has gone from one little small thing to being abused by so many different people now. But speaking of abuse, London 1965-7, been a member for 11 months is legal mind. Your avatar is that your yearbook picture? That's abuse, sir.
I've been discovered. No. Yeah, no, actually, what's funny? I didn't have a senior yearbook photo. So
you didn't get fancy yearbook photos done?
Yeah, we had the nice ones. And so everybody but the seniors. So the seniors had color photos.
Well,
everybody else,
that's
the plebs had black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just your senior year, though. That's the rest of the year.
I do want to mention that a white Italian did drive the Costa Concordia onto the shoals and tipped it. I just wanted to.
Yeah, a white Italian. That's fantastic. If you go back to the edge to the Titanic and stuff,
The Titanic was all white.
Italians, they were grouped right next to chimpanzees and other lowlifes. So
go listen to that. Yeah, I was gonna say, just go listen to that speech in True Romance.
I'm just saying, the Costa Concordia, white Italian guy.
Yeah, white Italian guy who came straight from security and through some way was promoted to captain. That's a star example right there. And also, to be fair to all Italians everywhere, even they were horrified and embarrassed at him, and saw him as a national disgrace. And he's in jail to this day.
Action Com says, Andrew, that's Kim Jong-un? I thought you were the Dick Tracy villain, Flat Top Jones. Love William Forsythe.
Like that.
Oh, no. I thought he was being Amy Schumer.
Oh, no.
I forgot about Flat
Top.
Top.
Thin. I'm too thin for Amy Schumer.
Dick Tracy's a very overlooked.
Isn't he public domain now?
Not yet, I don't think. Not quite. Because I think he was 1940. Was it 1940s or 30s that he was created?
Yeah, I like Flat Top. Flat Top was
great.
great.
The 40s.
It was really good. I completely forgot.
Well, I know the movie rights are still wrapped up because Warren Beatty, you know what he does every 10 years? Just to make sure nobody can make a Dick Tracy movie without him? He goes and does this weird interview thing with somebody, and it counts as him playing the part so that nobody else can get the rights because he owns the rights. And Disney screwed him for so long out of making a sequel that was his fuck you to them, basically.
He does that. Yes, this is true.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's been sitting on the rights for 30 years. Yeah, actually closer to 40. So I remember when it comes up, but sorry, go ahead.
I know he was a Golden Age character, so I figured maybe the rights are coming up.
You would think soon here. I think within the next 10, 15 years, but I'm trying to remember when he was created. I think he was in the 40s, but I could be wrong. Somebody in the chat will correct me, I'm sure.
I think 30s, 40s. Yeah.
I was going to say.
Late 30s, I think. But moving on with the super chat, because we have more topics to cover.
Yes, Tyre Lashin, if I'm saying that right, sends in 5 and says, hey, everyone, Andrew, in your show, you stated the EEOC in California did nothing on Blizzard. Is it possible that they won't do crap here?
I remember covering Blizzard initially, but I didn't follow Blizzard. So I got to apologize. I don't know where Blizzard died or where they went wrong, which I think is probably pretty material. Number one, this is pretty clear. Number two, obviously, if there's something that was mismanaged at the EEOC, there's an ability to appeal the EEOC decision. There's an ability to kind of go in and fight that. So obviously there's some ability to go against that. I think this one's more clear. So I think they would have to take action here, but I don't know Blizzard. So I don't know. I can't say how distinct it is, but this is more clear than anything else I've seen. And I don't think I saw anything this clear out of Blizzard. Could be wrong, but I think the Blizzard situation was different. But that being said, it's been so long since I reviewed the Blizzard issue.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it either to comment.
This is very clear, guys. This is not even close. A race quota is like very, very clearly not okay.
Basically, yeah. And they put it in writing. Like, that's the thing. That's what we were talking about, is this whole idea that, the future of lawsuits is going to get interesting. C-Man sends in 5 and says, lawsuits over DEI are great and all, but will they really change anything? Maybe it's just me feeling pessimistic. Well, I think they will. I don't know, Andrew, what do you think? Because like that, was it Harvard?
And this is I had this conversation on my locals today, and I got into this with somebody. And I know, look, I know a lot of you guys are black pillars out there, and it's never going to change. It's a slow battle, and it's the tide turning is a slow thing, and you got to take the victories. You got to take the victories step by step, and the precedent step by step. I think setting a precedent that is not okay to discriminate against white people is an important first step. Yes, there is a hearts and minds campaign of getting people to change direction, getting a culture to change direction, getting companies to change direction. But I do think if this is something that is made, okay, clearly this is illegal, clearly we can't do this, right? There's going to have to be a reaction in the other direction. I don't think it's all hope is lost. I do think there are a lot of other corporations that are like, okay, yeah, we don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with this liability. We're no longer going to be doing this anymore.
Yeah. Pinochet's helicopter tour has been a member for 30 months. Holy crap. Says the UN has been dictating political and cultural demands. Yesterday, BlackRock, States, ST, and JP Morgan pulled out of UN climate DEI programs, citing legal.
I don't know anything about that. So if you have any information on that, send it to me. That's a bunch of stuff that I'm not sure about. I mean, I'm not a fan of the UN or BlackRock, State Street, or JP Morgan, but yeah.
Yeah, I have to look into this. This is news to me.
I fixed my settings. Do I sound better now?
Much better, Flush.
Okay.
You sound fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
And just in time for the X-Men talk, which we'll get to momentarily. But first, let's see if we have any more super chats related specifically to this. Let's see. Pinochet's helicopter tour says for $2. I've long thought Disney has special feds promises. Yeah.
I think they definitely had state protection for a while till they lost it in Florida, and I think they definitely have fans at the federal government. Certainly, right now, look, the alignment could not be more clear. They've clearly aligned themselves with the Democratic Party. I mean, in Florida, they are being openly backed by the most left-wing Democratic politicians in Florida. So they've made a clear pact, right? Now, how that plays out at the federal level, still haven't fully seen that play out, right? A lot of the stuff that they can be on the hook for doesn't have the very limited statute of limitation. They can come after them if Trump's in, next year, they're still going to be scurrying. I think there's definitely cause for concern at the federal level for Disney.
Yeah. And Kathleen Morrison, says for $5, Legal Mindset, how did HR get these papers past legal? Or are Disney lawyers that bad? Well,
no, let me tell you how it is. This is
that.
A great question, Kathleen. Let me tell you exactly how it works. They're told, right? And the head lawyers, it comes in, the general counsel comes in and tells the other lawyers, says, look, CEO Bob really wants to get this done. Okay. He says, we need to get this done. We need to do this. We need to find a way to do this. How are we going to do this? Well, can we tell him not to do it? No, we can't tell him not to do it. Can we put in a footnote? Yeah. Okay. And they gave him that crappy footnote. But I really think they're scared, right? They're scared because they know, look, if they don't go along with it, they're going to be fired, right? They'll fire them if they don't push this paper through, if they cause trouble in Disney. Disney does not tolerate dissent. Disney does not do dissent at all. They will just fire you and replace you. You are a paper pushing staff attorney at Disney. Yeah, they're going to fire you and hire somebody else because there's tons of people that are like, I want to work for Disney. It's the same reason why they get to keep their prices low in their labor, because there's so many people that just want to work for Disney. I dealt with so many retirees that just wanted to work for Disney to work at Disney, right? Because that was their dream to work at Disney. So they could keep their wages low. The law firms that they bid out to, the outside firms, would all bid low because they wanted Disney on their letterhead. They wanted to say, we represent Disney. This is how they end up with a culture of yes men, right? By the way, it's very similar to, I don't know, North Korea or the CCP, right? It ends up a culture of just everybody is a yes man.
Yeah, and I'm going to get back to that other super chat on screen, but I think this one was more timely when you said it. Tipping Barn for $4.99. Disney is the Chevy Chase's Gerald Ford of companies. Yes, right now they are. They are very much so.
Well, what's really funny is that I've read an awful lot of contracts, and my lawyers have allowed me to write the first draft of contracts, and then they go through them just because they're nice and it saves me some money. I could have written a better out than Disney wrote.
Sure.
ActionCom has one for you, Paul, on the Costa Rican.
Costa Concordia.
Concordia. The helmsman of the Costa Concordia was Indonesian who barely spoke Italian. Captain blamed him. He went into hiding after the accident.
This is actually true, and we know this is true from the black box recordings, basically, because it was the captain. He was the guy who screwed up and took the ship way too close to shore. But he was also the first to discover that, oh shit, we are not where we're supposed to be. And he instantly went about trying to get them back again. And it actually would have worked. They have done simulations that said that if the helmsman had done what the captain said, they would have gotten away with the scare. But at the most critical of moments, and the captain said, "Go 20 degrees left." He used the nautical terms. Then this guy who was a diversity hire, or not necessarily, he was hired because he was cheap. Instead of going left, he went right.
No. Oh man.
See, if the captain went, just go right, then it would have been fine. He would have understood.
Literally, he was there. Because the captain, he actually gave orders that once you were in a situation that they never should have been in, that's on the captain. But given that they were there, the captain, he actually would have gotten them out, were it not for this one critical error where the helmsman turned the wrong direction. And that's when they crashed.
You completely ruined my joke.
I'm sorry about that, but reality does that. Anyway, for both of you guys, both of you guys and everyone else listening, you need to go watch the Internet Historian and his retelling of the Costa Concordia accident. It is the greatest thing you can possibly watch today. What it's based on is the actual recordings from the black box. So we know that what happened on the bridge, that is actually an actual depiction of what happened.
Amazing.
And then you have witness testimonies after. You have to see that. Like, it's better than any movie recreation. Cannot possibly be as good as that. So check it out. The Internet Historian, Costa Concordia. Thank me later.
Well, seeing Caprio listing off to the side is not as exciting.
Scotty,
but this thing you have to see.
That sounds good.
Yes. Yeah.
Scotty sends in $4.99, says people who get their jobs in or due to CRTDE equal useless imbeciles with crap degrees and the intellect of a carrot. Well, that's an insult to carrots.
The harder thing, though, is that among those people, there actually are some bright ones, and the harder is that you can tell who really worked there for merit and got in the good way, who was quoted in but is still good, and who was quoted in but is utterly useless. You can't tell from the outside.
Yeah. And then ActionCom wanted to make sure that you knew that Filipino pilot who didn't know Italian.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm sorry that your joke was ruined, Paul, but your joke was not rooted in reality.
And then Aaron Glendening sends in a very poignant $5 super chat and says, "We have moved from the eras of big tobacco and big pharma to big SJW." Well, I would still say one of those companies might be behind big SJW. Or one of the big major people. Is what better way to force people to do things, right? Anyway, guilt always works. Kino Reviews sends in $10, and this gets us to our second topic. We'll get back to the super chats after this and the X-Men talk, but regarding Morph and X-Men, non-binary means queer. This is a far-left political ideology. Queer is designed to abolish the gender binary and dismantle the nuclear family, both attacks on capitalism. So yeah, what Kino is referring to here is some of the hubbub that's surrounding the new X-Men trailer, because this dropped yesterday morning, and at first a lot of people got really excited because for the most part, as we were talking about earlier with the Fantastic Four, this is where I'm wary about that. We already have some proof with X-Men. We're going to get into that now. That don't judge a book by its cover, right, Andre?
Yeah, that's about right. Because some things can look really, really cool and not be so cool after all.
Revelations.
And some
I
things
can
be the,
judge
can
it by
be the
Rogue's
opposite. Yeah.
ass, and it's very lacking.
This discussion is going to depress me because I liked that trailer initially.
So did a lot of people. I mean, a lot of
So
people.
did a lot of people.
Literally the day before, they were saying, "Wow, this looks great. Wow, this looks optimistic." And the next day, I literally saw people post, "Fuck this!" Like literally. Like
Well,
the
we've
day
got
after.
so much to get into this, right? Like not just the morph stuff, but
I see some. Let me address something real quick because I see this
Please.
super chat. Why don't you just pull that Sonic Stance one up for 10?
Let me see if I can find it. Which one?
It's
Here.
like the just came through.
Oh, here we go. Sonic Stance. You want to read it? Go ahead.
People are already making up their minds about X-Men 97 because Morph isn't straight and Rogue's butt isn't huge like the meme. It's not a meme. Her butt was, she had a nice ass and tits in the show. It wasn't a meme. It was a real thing. She looked like a woman. Can we actually watch the show before judging its quality? Well, if it was an isolated case, I would say sure, but how much benefit of the doubt does Disney deserve at this point?
Zero.
Okay.
Well, and I think this conversation will break down the reason why you can't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I mean,
No.
we have no choice but to see it when it comes out. I mean,
That's true. That's true. But as we
Storm
get going
looks off
along
too.
here-
Look at her. She has like banana boobs. Like
Well,
they're
that's
curved.
just we're
The
talking
haircut,
pedantic,
though, the
nitpicky
haircut
stuff. There's
is what-
bigger
yeah.
problems.
I wish
have
they
with
would.
this.
I wish they would have just went straight up with the straight up mohawk. If you want to do it, fine. Just do the straight up mohawk. She had it in the 80s. No one cares about her mohawk. I actually like 80s Storm quite a bit.
Yeah, and,
Just-
and Rogue is wearing the adult Depends, for leaking,
Yeah.
urinary leak. That's
Well, she
what
has
she's
to because
wearing.
they took her butt away. So
That's right.
got to be a.
Well,
Got to put it somewhere.
all the small stuff aside, the first thing that sticks out to me is that you have basically when you first announced this, you got everybody on board because it was supposed to be picking up where the old show left off, same style of animation. You even announced that all the living cast members were coming back. But there was an asterisk next to that they never even told us about until recently, where we learned that all those original cast members are recast as different characters.
Not
so
all
they
of them.
except for one, which is Wolverine, just because he's a white guy. Otherwise, they changed him up for diversity. Okay, so what the fuck?
I think the guy who played Beast is still playing him. And
Maybe that might be the other one. Yeah,
pretty sure he is. Like, it's a couple of them are still playing the main characters.
But
a lot
if
of
they
them
were of any kind of different race, then they're not playing that character anymore.
Yeah, Jubilee specifically was oh well, we didn't a Canadian actress playing Jubilee was a product of its time.
What?
Yeah, that's I believe the direct quote. And they had to change it, because it's more appropriate that an Asian voice an Asian, which is so stupid. It's just the voice. This shit should not matter in animation. The best voice should get the role, no matter who the fuck it is.
Was Jubilee Asian?
Yeah, Jubilee's Asian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but surprise, surprise, as the guy in Asia here, Asians have different accents, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, because you are our resident Asian on
Well,
this panel.
And I went off about it last night, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. But as somebody who's, has been an aspiring voice actor, like this bothers me because look, you got to first of all know the politics of how cartoons are made. Second of all, and Paul can back me up on this. It has to go through like the guild and all that kind of stuff to where, you only are allowed so many actors per show. And that's why they have a lot of times the voice actors will do multiple voices on a show, right? For that very reason. is because of budgetary and other kind of constraints at the time, not because they're trying to like whitewash the cast or anything like that. In fact, you have many cases where it's the opposite, where you'll have, you know, a black person voice a white guy several times over. In fact, I think that's what happened here, is they moved the guy who did another voice over to Bishop because he was black. Like, what is the problem with like, I don't understand this. And this started, I think, with the Simpsons and the stupid Apu thing. And that's where it really rooted. And it's like, where did we get into this world where voice actors couldn't do voice acting? Now, granted, you're not going to have somebody go out there and do some very racist, like, you know, voice unless you're Trey Parker, right? Like, that's just the joke. But in every other case, you're obviously not going to let some actor come out and do some very stereotypical accent. You're going to have them do a more respectable version of it. And I don't remember Jubilee having a stereotypical Asian accent of any kind.
No, she didn't. She sounds like she sounded like a 90s teenager. That was
and not only
that
that,
was the
I didn't
point.
even know Jubilee was Asian. So she was never drawn that way. Anyways,
I
I just
doesn't
don't
matter.
understand this. It makes no sense to me.
No, I mean, there's no problem having an Asian actress doing Jubilee. I mean, who cares?
When you have the original
They've
actress
had the
right
original
there,
voice actress coming back. She's still in the show. She's just playing a new character.
I see. Yeah.
There's
that's
no
a bait
reason
and
that
switch to me.
all the characters should be voicing the characters they played in the 90s.
It's so
Because
long
it's
ago.
the feed is that it's nostalgia, right? That's what it's going off of. And by the
Right.
way, that's become the Disney and Lucasfilm, you know, for that matter, and even Marvel, right? They get you with the nostalgia bait, right? So they say, oh, you know, the member berries, right? Do you remember? You know, and they push out some reference to, for example, the original trilogy in The Mandalorian, right? Common tactic, right? So X-Men, obviously X-Men 97, you know, one of its big takes is push out stuff that was good in the 90s that you remember from your childhood, except for they've now warped your childhood and made it non-binary.
Let me
On
pull up
that
some.
note-
I'm gonna pull up some comparisons here. Like I want to show you what they did to Rogue, because Rogue, this shit is ridiculous, and it's every animated project now. Every animated project does this stuff. They give women the uniboob, where it looks like they just have one boob,
Right.
or they have
So, hold
Goku's
on.
pecs. This doesn't happen in anime.
Andy
It's
Graham.
another reason why anime is just exploding.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't remove the femininity of a woman or her sexuality. Like, this is not Rogue. She has a uniboob here.
I mean, I don't know how far away that is being drawn, so I don't know.
I zoomed in on it.
Yeah, see,
But then
that one, yeah.
There's also this one. I mean, this is undeniable. And this isn't a meme. Her ass
That one's
looks like this all
undeniable.
the time.
Yes, that one's undeniable. The other one, I would kind of give him a
She's
mulligan
a
on, but-
long back with legs. That's what that is.
Yeah. Well, as I retweeted your tweet, I said, "Never forget what they took away from us." Right? Like, but on that note, let's get into the characters here, because there was a breakdown in, I believe this is Empire.
Notice Cyclops isn't in there. Or
Yeah,
Jean Grey.
Biclops is not in here. Or Jean
Like,
Grey.
he's gonna step down for some reason. I bet probably like He-Man, like they're gonna He-Man him out, like they did
kill
in
him
that.
off.
I don't think they're gonna kill him. I think him and Jean Grey are gonna go away with Cable, obviously,
Well, Jean's obviously
Cable.
pregnant.
which isn't how that happened. It was Madeline Pryor that had him in the comics, but I don't know if they're gonna explore that or not. Probably not, because the only thing they're fucking focused on is civil rights. They don't want to tell any other stories. Oh, X-Men always have to talk about civil rights now. Every X-Men story has to be about civil rights now. And they're all talentless. None of them can do it right. The stories like this existed back in the day, but they were done by people that actually had talent at writing. These people have no talent. They don't know how to do this in a subtle way that it actually works. And they used to put entertainment first if it had a message. It's the message first now.
It was
No
one of the
faith in
best
this shit.
allegories.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, on that point,
was-
like that's where that X-Men news place was like freaking out. Like, well, if you have a problem with Morph being non-binary, then you don't know what X-Men are about. And my response in tweet was like, no, then you don't know what X-Men about, because the whole allegory was basically set up in a way that you could insert whatever it was you wanted to into that allegory. It wasn't meant to have labels put on it. The moment you start putting labels on it, that's a problem. Even Bryan Singer, back with the 2000 X-Men movie, knew you couldn't do that. He said, I can relate to this because I grew up as a gay man or whatever, or bisexual man, however you want to put it. But he didn't inject that into the damn movie, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have, Biclops all of a sudden sucking off Wolverine or some shit.
Yeah, and they're going, but that's a good point, real quick, by the way. Out of the decades of X-Men history that they could tap for this show, they're already putting the Hellfire Gala in here, which tells me immediately what they're going to do with this. They're going to go with the Krakoa story. The Krakoa shit from 2021 is the story that they're going to put in this. What a fucking joke that is.
Well, this is just the lazy nonsense where, and you're right. From an allegory perspective, the X-Men all were non-binary. They were all gay. They represented all the outcasts without having to be specific about that. This is the lazy writing that they're doing now, where the person specifically has to be labeled as a registered outcast. It's the same bullshit that happened with Star Trek Discovery, where they're so far in the future, they would have solved these problems, right? These
Right.
social issues would not exist, but they endlessly talked about this fucking shit over and over again as if they hadn't solved it. So they didn't understand what allegory was, and they didn't understand what the original Star Trek was. That's why they had a Russian. They had the Japanese guys. They had they had Uhura, because these problems were solved in the future. Modern writers don't understand that.
Yeah, no, because Rod didn't.
Aliens and humans can marry in Star Trek.
That's the point, right? Rod, it wasn't over, the idea of, I want to make sure everybody feels like they're represented on the ship. It was like, no, I want to show how diverse the future is. It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be a Russian. He picked a Russian just because we were in the midst of the Cold War. Then you've got Spock. You've got all this stuff.
An alien,
and that's my point about the X-Men allegory is it doesn't matter if you're a black kid, an Asian kid, a crippled kid, you can relate to the X-Men, right? That was the whole point. That was what they were about. Is there was civil rights allegories there, but it wasn't necessarily about the civil rights movement. You could probably insert some gay rights allegories in there during the 80s and 90s, but that doesn't mean that they're actually about that. That's my point. Yeah.
But the anti-mutant storylines were about civil rights.
Yeah. But not every story was about civil rights.
But my point is
all they want to do now with it. That's all they want to do now is tell those kinds of stories, and it's tiring. This used to be such a good brand, and they have just ran it into the ground. I'd rather this not exist. Why is this here?
Yeah, I mean, they had the great run where they had that senator or congressman or whatever who was anti-mutant, who turned out to be a mutant, right?
They even touched on the Trask stuff and Nightcrawler and like them being brothers.
Yep. Yeah, Nightcrawler was great. So yeah, but they don't understand allegory. They don't understand how to write.
Yep. No, they don't understand any of that. Like
everything has to be on the nose.
You could make, let's say a Rogue. You could use her as an allegory for AIDS, right? You don't have to put a label on it, but you could definitely relate to that.
Sure.
There's all kinds of things that you can insert into here. Once you start putting labels on it, that was my whole point. And you guys are absolutely correct. That's where Star Trek was always the greatest. They didn't actually have a Vietnam episode, but they went to a planet that was having a war that was similar to Vietnam. So they could play that out on regular television. That's kind of what the X-Men were. You could have similar things that were going on in the real world or had happened in the real world and other things, but you don't have to put a label on it. But on that note, they got these character breakdowns. And as you pointed out, YellowFlash, they don't have two of the main characters in here. Plus, all of these have to do with relationships now. Everything's about relationships.
That's true. Yeah, Morph has an interesting relationship with Wolverine. Are they fucking now because they're friends? Because you can't have a close friend anymore in the world of the SJW. If you have a best friend, that means you're fucking. So him and Wolverine being buddies, that are obviously gay sexing up now, like they're gay together, because you can't just be friends in media anymore. That's not a thing.
Well,
Look at every time that they're like, oh, Bucky and Captain Rogers, they're for sure sexing.
Yeah. Well, let's read a
Sick.
little bit of this because I want to actually introduce you guys to the showrunner here. Showrunner Bo DeMayo didn't need to rewatch X-Men the Animated Series when he started to work on the sequel. He binged it all during the pandemic. I don't know if there would be an MCU without the show, he says of the popular Saturday morning series, which ran from 1992. It's the grandfather of everything we see today. With memory of fresh in his mind, DeMayo went out to the desert Joshua Tree National Park and thought about the essential elements they needed to retain for the new show. The relationships between the characters, the fact that they had faced adult problems and kids in a kid's cartoon, from race to AIDS crisis, the exciting powers could be combined in cool new ways. These were key. Speaking with Empire, DeMayo, and supervising producer Jake Castoriana. I don't know if I said that right, but introduce the old new MVPs of the MCU. Now I want to introduce you to this guy and how he met Kevin Feige, because this is interesting. And our buddy Price of Reason keyed me into this, and he brought this up last night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. So this guy right here is the showrunner.
And comes back, and I'm like, okay, well, I should be professional and try to play this cool. So I was like, yeah, I'd be really interested in thinking about that. Like, yeah, let's think. And then probably got off the phone screen, cried, ran around, and and then just went, came up with a pitched it to Kevin Feige, and him and Brad could not have been more just supportive and also just encouraging to make sure that we got it right. I think one of my favorite parts was like they were truly interested in like what my experience as a Black gay man was and how it was going.
Oh, did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're more worried about his experience as a Black gay man,
which has got nothing to do with the series.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Wow. That's depressing.
Yeah. Should we still give this show the benefit of the doubt, chat?
No, I'm done.
Yeah, so the moment he came in and they found out that he was gay, well, they knew he was Black already, but they were more interested in that. I mean, I don't know if Kevin just wanted to blow you or what.
I think that's probably how he came in. It's like, oh, you're Black? Oh, you're gay as well? That's a twofer.
Double points.
Oh, showrunner. Yeah, exactly. That's twice the points. So yeah, fantastic stuff.
And he goes on from there to claim that that's how they're going to make it authentic. By the way, there was a little bit more to that. But,
yeah, so that's how the series is going to be authentic, of course.
Yeah. So that explains why Morph is bi now, even though, or non-binary, I should say, because that's my point, was non-binary, and you brought this up too, Flash, didn't even exist back then.
No.
As a terminology.
Well, there's also no such thing as non-binary. Binary is on-off.
Right.
If you're non-binary, then that's off.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, this is not what the X-Men were about. I mean, and they got Beast sounding like he's a furry gay uncle. Wolverine is a broken-hearted samurai who thinks he's an animal.
He doesn't think he's an animal. It's the stupidest bullshit. A broken samurai, sure. I mean, but an animal, no.
He's a Canadian, damn it.
Well, he's got a lot of training in Japan.
Yeah.
It's a great.
And Jubilee's got to worry about adulting.
Yeah,
if they use the word adulting, did I zoom in here?
Jubilee always wants to be an adult, right? Says DeMayo. Well, it's time to start adulting. That's
my God. Sorry, I just saw that. Wow.
The only one of these descriptions that doesn't have anything to do with relationships or who they're fucking or anything like that is Bishop, really, outside of Wolverine. And that's just because his actually has to do with story elements, so it sounds like in the story. But yeah, I was really depressed after finding a lot of this stuff out. And that's the other thing, is they're trying to like play with the idea that Storm doesn't know how to be a human, but yet all of a sudden she's wearing the colors of the trans flag there.
Wait,
but anyway,
Storm doesn't know how to be a human. What?
Yeah, like Yeah, this is Storm's. In the comics, powerful weather mutant Storm has literally been worshipped by the people of Serengeti.
That's
For
true.
DeMeo, what's interesting is how she handles those divine expectations. Where is the room for her humanity? Where does she have the ability to be vulnerable when she has that much power?
What?
So she's not a person who has feelings too, even though she has godlike powers. But
she is a leader. I mean, but like that doesn't mean she's struggling with her humanity.
If I may, is she a queen?
They worshipped her like one.
Oh no.
Well, she's definitely a woman queen.
Oh. A woman king. Yeah.
Or woman king. I mean, yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, look at the colors. Look at the colors.
That's they have to put that in everything now. By the way, they always put that flag in everything. That specific flag.
Oh, is that the trans flag?
That's the trans colors. White
colors. They always do it.
And purple. Yeah. Anyway, so the morph is the one that everybody's getting all bent out of shape about, pun intended. The death of the shapeshifter morph in the original animated series, it didn't stick, obviously, was shocking for young viewers, and it stuck with DeMeo. He really set the stakes, he says, and he had very interesting relationship with the team because of his trauma. This is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play.
Maybe he turns into Jean Grey, and then when he's with Wolverine, he forgot.
He already did that.
He forgot to change his vagina or his penis into a vagina.
Oh, that
Wolverine just rolls with it.
I have no idea. Wasn't Storm like queen of Wakanda for a while too, because she was married to Black Panther, or was that?
Yeah, that's not how she started though. She married him. That's more of a recent, like not that.
Yeah, I was
recent,
gonna say that
but,
was more. Yeah,
you know, it's not the 90s, like
but that is such a racist, like Cartman thing to do, to put those two together. You know what I mean? Like, anybody else see that South Park episode where Cartman was like shipping everybody, and he was shipping everybody because they were
literally just thinking that. It's like, oh, that's really good. Here you find like two black characters. Of course, you have to mate them together. Nice going, Marvel. You're really.
There's a whole South Park episode where that's where Cartman does that shit. Yeah.
I think Storm and Bishop did have something for a minute in the 90s. I don't remember.
I was gonna say I thought I remember her having some romance before, so like there's got to be some humanity that she's
been with Wolverine too.
There you go. So
I'd rather them explore that than do Bishop and Storm.
Maybe he can go into the Olympics and win all the female events.
Wait, hold on. Does Bishop? Wait, hold on. Does like Storm and Bishop have a relationship? Then like all of a sudden Bishop is like, "Baby, I got to go out for some milk," and then he time travels.
Doesn't come back. Well, they'd have to have a baby first.
That's true. That's true. That'd be perfect though.
I'll be back. I'm just going to get some cigarettes, and then he goes back to the future. I'd rather fight Nimrod.
I want to get bottled milk, the kind that they put at the front of your porch when you open the door in the morning. That's what I want.
So yeah, so needless to say, I can understand why most people would be upset.
Well, this is looking worse and worse all the time now. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Dominant, you're welcome. You should be glad that we adjust your expectations.
No, you're right.
Disappointment.
Damn, I was looking forward to this. It kind of looked okay.
Yeah, you should be grateful. Imagine how disappointed you would have been. You were just saved of that.
You're right.
Well, you weren't, but you got to like have it meted out from now until you actually see it, rather than a horrible shock when you do see it.
Well,
I'm prepared.
With Wolverine, I swear they're on a mission to make him gay.
On the comics,
Yeah,
current
didn't they
Marvel
do that
Krakoa
there?
era comics.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey are in a 3-way relationship.
Yeah.
Polly.
Yep.
Oh boy.
But they never outright say it. But the clues are all there because on the moon base where they all live, they have a conjoined room with Jean Grey. She's in the middle.
Oh boy.
So.
Yep.
And there's plenty of pictures of them, like, together, like hugging up and all kinds of stuff, and
Dear
him
Lord.
flirting with Cyclops. It's very progressive.
Dear Lord.
Because that's what, X-Men fans have always wanted. The three of them in a three-way. Sure.
I could have went my whole life without that. But we got some supers here. We got to get through. I don't want to cut this too short, but I'm sure we'll get back around to this through the super chats. Aiken has been a member for 30 months. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. And Angela Richter gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for that as well. We appreciate the support. Hyperguyver 2 sends in 5 and says, speaking of things that don't have balls, how about the new X-Men 97 trailer? Well, we just talked about it.
At great length.
At great length.
You got your money's worth.
Then we got Dizwiz here who's sending in. That's 2000. Gosh, what is that? That's
Wonder Woman.
One. Okay. They will gonna kill Senior Fantastico for Sue Storm.
I don't think they're going to kill him. I think he's going to become the Maker. But we talked about this.
Yeah. We actually brought up the Fantastic Four thing earlier, and that's where I was saying, like, I'm not going to get so easily fooled by this Fantastic Four Valentine they put out the other day.
Because the three of them are young enough to go on for a while. But Pedro's like, how old is he? 53?
I don't know if
he's up there. He's close to 50, if not. Someone in the chat will say, but yeah, I think he's going to become the Maker. He's going to become a villain, and I think they'll slide in like She-Hulk.
He's 48.
Or something. Yeah, he's going to be 60 in what? 3 movies?
Wow.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with you that they'll probably turn him into
I think they'll get rid of him, and then they'll bring in like She-Hulk because she's a reserve Fantastic Four member anyway. So then you can slide her into the team. That's just that's speculation, but I mean, given what they do,
Gay Hulk.
Yeah, you can't have a family and actually have a patriarch in the MCU. You can't do that. So I think they're going to slide him out of there real fast.
AF Watcher 88 sends in 499 says, I mentioned Jimmy Dore Wednesday because he allows all political sides on his show and has been putting a spotlight on DEI. Recommend, no worries. Yeah. Thank you for that recommendation for Jimmy Dore. Midnight Sun sends in 279 Canadian and says Fantastic Four, or the Fan Four Stick, is still part of the MCU multi-diverse, surface, whatever he says here.
That's that garbage reboot they did after the.
Yeah, it's the Tranktastic Four by Josh Trank. Yeah, the one. That,
when did they acknowledge that?
Well, they've already said all the movies are part of the.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, everything is multiple.
But they never actually acknowledged that one.
I think it was a broad brush they were just painting there, Tom. Like
titties.
Yeah.
My favorite thing of that is somebody said Kevin Feige made this canon, and it was the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie of him like shooting that bad guy in the face and his head exploding.
Sitting in the.
This is now part of the MCU.
Titty sending in 35 South African rands says, I actually think Spider-Verse is a good idea for films. This crap is just badly thought out and the wrong way to establish a profitable universe. Well, problem is Miles Morales is Miles Morales.
It's a big problem.
Yeah. And they keep trying to make Miles Morales happen. But if you're talking about actual live action stuff with Toby and Tom,
I like the Spider-Verse movies. Tom, this is a hard subject with Tom. Tom hates them, but
well, a lot of people didn't like that second one as much.
I liked the second one.
It wasn't as good, but it was okay.
And they're invoking a lot more woke crap in that one. But
yeah, they had the trans flag in the
kids, they did.
I have to rewatch it. I saw a compromised version of it.
Yeah.
You know why?
I have to say, when you watch that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying like because I took a wrong turn. And I walked into the wrong screening, and I walked into a Norwegian dubbed version of it. It kind of like ruined it. So yeah,
yeah. And then go ahead.
I just want to say real quick, like that movie. If you watch that movie and then play the video game Miles stuff, it's funny how downgrade the Spider-Verse one gets Gwen Stacy, and the video game one gets like a goofy, deaf chick.
Yeah, that whole thing was just stupid anyway. Grand Wazoo 42 sends in 10 years and says, greetings panel. I smell bait and switch with the F4. Let the hamsters run and keep the lights on. Well, thank you, Grand Wazoo. And yeah, I think we all kind of came to the same conclusion for the most part. Hopeful, but yeah. Taker 610 asked for $5. Paul, can you tell us who Anne Murray is? That bitch. If you if you call, she is mentioned as that bitch Anne Murray too in the song Blame Canada from the South Park movie. Yes.
So Anne Murray is not just a Canadian star, but global star. She's done a lot of songs that I can't recall right now, but man, oh man. So she was one of the few female performers that when the government instituted CanCon on our radio, like they had to have speaking of quotas, we had some kind of quota that 40% of Canadian radio stations had to play Canadian music. And because we had so little of it, it was like nonstop Anne Murray
And Stompin' Tom Connors.
And the Guess Who, Neil
Guess Who,
Young,
good.
stuff like that. So it'd be nonstop, the few Canadian artists that we had. Yeah, she's a wonderful woman, terrific human being. And it's one of the reasons I guess they put her into Blame Canada, because she was a mega star up here from the East Coast too, which was really important.
She actually has a great sense of humor, because I don't know
Very
if you
funny
knew this,
woman.
Paul. But the story goes, she was supposed to come sing that song for the Oscars. She couldn't get into the country.
Right.
There was some problem.
Yeah, it was a border issue.
A border issue. And so, but she was all on board to sing it. She was all in on the joke and everything. She was looking forward to it, but it fell apart at the last minute. So Robin Williams filled in for her. But yeah.
Yep, she has always been great about taking the mickey out of herself, as being this woman with a fantastic voice and an ability to sing, but not your prototypical star.
Right. Then John Doe sends in 2 and says, Paul, Anime Planet, it lists 18 golf animes.
I mean, considering how many animes the Japanese crank out monthly, I'm actually quite shocked it's so few.
Yeah. And then we've got, let's see, what else for Paul? We got Chaos Sonic 1, who says, Paul, I recommend Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four for $2.
Yes, that's a little bit later than the era that I read Fantastic Four, but I've heard that I should read him.
Jonathan Hickman is generally a very good read. As a general thing.
He's writing the Ultimate Spider-Man comic that's out right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's the writer.
So
that's all for Paul.
Is Kevin Feige gay? Does anyone know?
I don't think so, but he should be. And with that, 6 says you are allowed to leave, Paul.
Oh, thank you very much. So long, everyone. Thanks for having me. What a great panel. Please continue without me. It's going to be better anyway.
Well, and I'll go with my good friend Paul here, because it's 2 a.m. and I need to sleep. So
we double check real quick, Andrew, before you head out.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye YellowFlash. Bye Andrew.
See you,
bye
Paul.
Tom. Bye
Take
Andre.
care, Paul.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thanks for
Paul.
Bye,
listening.
6. Love you.
We have a few for Andrew.
I thought so.
well,
I know we got
I'll
most
take,
of them, but
I'll take some supers before I go. Yes.
we got this one here specifically from Titties. It says, Andrew, will
Titties.
Oscars be sued, or will this make change? He actually asked me this in the background. Yeah.
I've been ruminating on this one, and this one. I mean, the thing with the Oscars. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The Oscars is a private association.
The Academy, I believe it is, but my answer to him was I think somebody would have to turn around and sue them first.
Yeah,
for it to change.
I think it's going to have to be. It would have to be somebody individually and say they were
Ostracized because of
damage
their
to them.
race or whatever.
Yeah. There's damage to either their reputation or brand, something else. There has to be somebody that's alleging a damage to them, right, or some other wrong. The problem is, look, if I ran a group of the worst He-Man woman haters, and I wanted to give my He-Man woman hater award to Flash, right, and I wanted to hand him that award,
I could win it.
Yeah, exactly. You could. You're a good contender, right? Like, that's fine. You can have a group, and your group could be the most abhorrent. Like, in America, you're supposed to be able to have groups, even if they're abhorrent, horrible groups, as long as they're not violent, they're not breaking the laws, right? You can believe very nasty things, right? So, and you could say, we're only going to give this award out to the nastiest istophobe or whatever else. So the Oscars, giving their awards, choosing how they give their awards or qualify. I believe it was for qualification, correct? But
yeah,
I don't think that's necessarily on its face an issue, unless there is some sort of defamation tied to it, or there's some sort of other wrong tied to it. But, I think in and of itself, I think it's much harder because they're not employing somebody, right? It's not a chance to give somebody a job, right? It's not hiring, it's not firing, it's not termination. So it's a little bit harder. It's also not a public accommodation. So they're not like a hotel, they're not like a
Right.
bus or something else like that. So that would be a real extension of the law.
Yeah, you'd really have to have, like you said, somebody who didn't get nominated for something and really have to prove, and it's really difficult, right? Because it's
difficult.
Yeah, and they'd have to be like, well, I wasn't even brought up for nomination because of this, and then it was even then I think the case would be really
And I
tough.
didn't get a job, right? Coming from
Yeah.
that, or I was blackballed from the industry, and like you're gonna need to prove that, you know. And look, I'm not gonna say it's easy to prove when it's not. That's not easy to prove.
No, it isn't. But I think that's all for you, Andrew. So
oh, cool.
I think
Oh,
you are
awesome.
allowed to leave.
Oh, I'm allowed. I'm allowed now.
6 only allows people to leave.
Only
So.
if you want to.
Only if you want to. No, thank you guys. Appreciate all you guys. You know, Andre, Tom, Flash. Always good hanging out with you six. Appreciate y'all.
Good seeing you. I
And
appreciate
will
it.
Good
see
seeing you,
Yeah.
Andrew.
Peace.
And
Take care.
we'll be sure to put out a clip celebrating your most recent prediction coming through. And everyone, of course, check out Legal Mindset. Link is in the description.
Absolutely. And let's get through some of these super chats here. You guys have been mighty patient. C-Man sent one in already early this morning for $5. Says Dr. Doom casting matters more than who's portraying the FF4.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
This
all
has me
about the
worried.
villains.
Because I think Javier Bardem is being rumored for Galactus, but it makes me wonder if we're going to get a Victoria Von Doom. But yeah, Flash, you haven't really said much about the Fantastic Four since you got here. What do you think the chances are of us getting a decent Dr. Doom are?
Well, Henry Cavill, I saw something. I think actually no, that was fake. That was fake news. It was from Debussy.
No, but that's not a bad choice though. But he's
discussion.
too busy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get it. But you know who I would like? That guy from Breaking Bad. What's his name? He was also in The Mandalorian.
Oh, you mean the Desposito?
Yeah, I think he'd actually do a really good job. I know that might be controversial because Dr. Doom's a white guy, but he's such a good actor and he plays such a great villain that I would be fine with that. Actually,
you could get away with it because Dr. Doom is supposed to be a gypsy, and you have several different brands of gypsies. If you make him one of the gypsies of Indian origin, you could get away with having him play him in a sense, I guess.
yeah, I think he plays such good villains, and he has I think he would have that. I think he would have the look and the mannerisms down. I think he'd be perfect. He wears a mask the whole time anyway, so.
Yeah, it's by your choice.
We'll never get the Dr. Doom I always wanted anyway. Ricardo Montalban.
Oh no. Yeah, you're not going to get that.
He would have been perfect.
Right? He would have been. Anyway, moving on, Shanatsky says, this is how Marvel dies, not with a whimper, but with a web. Yeah, he's talking, of course, about Madam Web. Nobody,
Yeah,
nothing, not a thing.
Just got my free ticket to that. I'll send it to you, Tom.
Oh, goody.
So you get to watch it for tomorrow.
Try to forget to do that.
Lucky you.
I kind of can't wait to watch it because I hear it's really bad.
Problem is, I hear it's
that's
not
what I heard.
Morbius bad though. That's the problem.
No, it's not entertaining.
bad.
It's just boring. It's just,
Yeah.
from what I understand. I mean, if it was like something like Josh Trank's Fan 4 stick, right? It would be like so bad that you could laugh at it and you could like, oh, look there, wig changed again and stuff like that. But from what I understand, it's just boring. It's just a movie that goes on and on and on and nothing happens and it's shitty dialogue and the characters that are supposed to be protected, you actually want to see dead and you root for the bad guy and then eventually it's over.
You've seen it?
No, but that's what I've heard.
No, but everybody
I've
who's
heard
reviewed
that
it,
from people
Moreland
I
in
trust.
it?
they all say it feels like it's written by AI. Is who in it? Sorry.
Moreland.
Who?
I don't know.
So this is why I thought he'd be in it. I don't know. I haven't looked and seen if he's in it or not. But Ezekiel is not a bad guy. Like, I thought he'd be a red herring because he shows up during the JMS run in Amazing Spider-Man, and he teaches Peter about, you know, the web of life and all of that shit's a lot of stuff. But Moreland is the guy who comes from all of that, and he like absorbs spider people. That's how he gets his energy. It's people that have, they call it like the animal totem. So it would have made sense for him to show up. I don't know if he shows up or not. It sounds like this has like nothing to do at all with any of it. And they just use the characters' names. That's what Madam Web sounds like. I'm probably right. We'll see. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah. Look forward to your review.
Well, the best comments that I've seen about it, they say it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's not a perfect movie, as if that's a compliment, yet also an insult by saying, well, it's not perfect.
Yeah, everything about it sounds bad.
They can suck on the teat of Hollywood at the same time.
Ezekiel tried to kill Peter in the movie. Oh yeah, I hear there's a baby that's Peter Parker, but is never named.
Well, there's this whole thing. This part I've heard of, and then I watched the one clip that's online that I guess that's the way it's actually edited in the film. But like, yeah, there's this whole thing with Ben's in it. Spoilers, obviously, but we all kind of knew that already. And it's like, oh, you're going to be an uncle, all the fun and none of the responsibility, and stuff like that to set up the responsibility line and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, what a joke. I'm so glad that these movies are just trash fires and make no money. Because at some point, Sony's going to have to stop doing this. Craven's going to be a disaster too. I promise you.
I just can't believe that Amy Pascal isn't involved in this. That's the part that just has me completely.
Yeah,
that's another guy.
There'll be adjuncts to it.
Yeah, no, but they were able to screw it up even without Pascal involved. That's the fun bit.
Well, that's because they got S.J. Clarkson involved.
Yeah, with S.J. Clarkson, you're screwed either way.
Yeah, for those who don't know, check out our video on that.
If there's one thing I hope Hollywood learns from this, it is never hire S.J. Clarkson for anything that is supposed to have any kind of appeal to anyone who isn't a radical man-hating feminist. Because she's incapable of doing anything else.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I don't even know if there's really any excessive man-hating going on in this movie. It just sounds like she honestly.
No, there isn't. But that's kind of.
I would say I think she's just. I don't know if she's that talented at all. I don't think she has any. That's the problem with this whole thing. This whole thing, going back to our whole discussion from earlier, is that we have such. The pool has now been toxically filled with untalented hacks. Like, we're getting to the point where J.J. Abrams is almost talented compared to these motherfuckers.
How do the people that write these scripts? I looked at the guys who wrote the script for Madam Web and the other movies they've done. They're all shit.
They got 4 writers, and well, 2 of them are from Morbius.
Yeah, they've done the Power Rangers and a bunch of other movies that all of them have, except for one. I think Power Rangers was at the 50 percentile in the Rotten Tomatoes, and the rest were all under 20 something. Like, it's like, who's sitting in a room and saying, let's get these guys?
It happens in Hollywood. They always fail up. It's because it's who you know. It's the same thing with like David Goyer. Motherfucker couldn't write his way out of a paper bag, but yet he still gets work.
You don't always fail up. If any of us were to do this, we'd be kicked the hell out. You fail up once you have reached a certain threshold and you know the right people. And then suddenly it's your resume and stuff like that matters. And these people then, for purely studio and political reasons, they appeared to be the right fit with their resumes and everything like that. So it's not that they failed upwards; they needed to flunk out, and they didn't.
Yeah, if you're about to get fired, you get called into the room. They say your script's not doing real. We're going to have to let you cut him off. And you say, whoa, I'm gay.
That would do the trick, actually.
And then you get to stay.
Shouldn't be like that, but well, if you're just gay
Or
right now, that's not good
you
enough.
go
but,
even further with it. I'm gay and trans.
now you get to stay.
Yeah. And then you actually
Now
get
you're
promoted.
unfightable. Yeah. By that point, you're unfightable.
Sorry, Sadie needed to come in. Mike and Ayers sends in 499, says Midnight's Edge talking Fantastic Four reminds me of when Troll in the Dungeon told me about your channel on the FF and Amazing Spider-Man 2 IMDb forum. What happened to him? Oh, I'm not
Troll in
sure.
the Dungeon. Oh yeah, that was fun. He was an active member on those forums. He even joined us here for a couple of live streams, and he even wrote a couple of videos for us. If you go and check out our massive history of Spider-Man retrospectives detailing the entire history, I mean, those are videos that are like 30-40 minutes long each. I personally edit them, which is why they're a little bit shocky. And then he was offered a gig at one of the publications. I don't remember if it was the Rep or whatever it was, but he was really good, and he actually used the videos that he wrote for Midnight's Edge as a springboard to get a proper writing gig in the entertainment media complex. So where he is now, I don't know. I haven't spoken with him for years, but I hope he's good, and I wish him well. And if you see him, say hi.
Chaos
And
Sonic
then,
1 says for $5, X-Man 97. I am more worried on it because of Morph, the CGI that censured Rogue's butt and boobs to an extent, and the writer went off on Rittenhouse.
yeah,
that's true.
we saw this. Yeah, I don't know if you want to elaborate a bit more on that, but we already looked into that a bit, didn't we?
I got that's the writer just has it's crazy radical leftist.
Is this
And there's
crazy
receipts.
radical? Is this one of the lead writers or just
Producer too.
oh wow, producer, okay, writer and producer, fantastic. Yeah, Marvel sure knows how to pick him. Sure knows how to pick him. So good going that.
The DCB Titan says for a Canadian $5, the animated Fantastic Four series that introduced the robot had the Thing but didn't have Human Torch.
That's how it was. Yes, thanks
Yeah.
for the correction. Yeah.
And that was
I was
because, do you know why that was?
some rights issues of some kind.
Nope.
But I
Nope.
don't know.
Nothing to do with rights.
Okay.
It had everything to do with they didn't want kids setting themselves on fire.
Of course. Fire. Yeah, there we go. Of course.
Because for a long time, everybody thought it was rights. No, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the practices and people at the network saying, well, we don't want a bunch of kids setting themselves on fucking fire thinking they're the Human Torch.
That was a big thing for a while in Hollywood because they did it with Beavis and Butthead too. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a whole nother.
Some kid actually set his house on fire.
Well, here's the thing, Flash. I don't know if you heard about this. The kid that actually was blamed that did that and was and whose mom blamed Beavis and Butthead has now come out in recent years and said his mom was full of shit. She used that whole thing for publicity because they didn't even have fucking cable. He'd never even seen Beavis and Butthead before.
Oh, look at that.
And he had already gotten in trouble for setting fires before that. And he just basically flat out admitted that he was just nothing but a little pyro. Basically.
You should become a pyrotechnician.
Well, that's a lot of times what happens, to be honest with you. It's a good thing we have certain jobs for that, or some of these guys probably would end up just becoming.
You have to say bands like Kiss and Rammstein have kept a bunch of people safe by keeping other would-be pyromaniacs off the street by giving them jobs as pyrotechnics where they get to blow shit up in a controlled environment.
Hollywood too. That's why I love the character that what's his face plays in Tropic Thunder. Shit, I always forget his name. Danny McBride, because you could tell he would be that kind of guy.
Yeah,
those are the kind of guys you need to give them something to do, or they will find something to do.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's as far as I know.
Yeah, exactly. So you had Rammstein that supplanted Kiss, but Rammstein are now growing old, so we need someone else like that to carry on that mantle and continue to keep society safe by keeping the pyromaniacs occupied.
Midnight Eye says for $5, after the insulting rename of Namor to reduce him to a boy without love, they'll rename Reed Richards to Ricky Ricardo to badly pander again?
Although he's Cuban, but yeah.
Namor. Namor.
Amor.
Yeah, you gotta follow
Niño
that.
sin amor. Yeah, that was ridiculous. That was something.
Let the rhythm overtake you. He's no more. Sorry. Doll Life Dan says Birdie Wing, Oi Tombo, Pro Golfer Monkey, and Rising Impact. Oh, this one was for Paul actually, but
My bad, my fault.
that's okay. To name a few golf anime. But thank you, Doll Life Dan. I was gonna say I'm sure there was plenty.
Yeah,
Bucky.
folks, if you want a super chat specific for a person, put their name in it because that's what I'm scanning for. Because I'm the one who
Yeah, just put
typically goes
at
to
Paul,
find them.
at YellowFlash, at whoever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you don't have enough characters, at me in the chat and let me know that it's intended for a certain person. I'll make sure to get it in there.
If not, one of the mods will definitely see it and alert us to it. Bucky Cat's in the house. How you doing, Bucky Cat? Sends in 5, says it's creating a problem so money can throw it at it to be solved. Yes, this is what the whole CRT DEI bullshit is all about. It then becomes perpetual, the self-licking ice cream cone. Yeah. Jan N sends 50, Jan, sorry, and sends in 50 Norwegian Corona. It says, even nature is against DEI, as the Norwegian equality paradox have shown us for years. What is the Norwegian equality paradox, Andre? Please. You caught him at a loss here.
I actually have to look that up, which is embarrassing, but I think it's a matter of the more you try to force equality, the less you get it, because people have certain natural inclinations, and you can't change that with forcing certain politics. I have to look up the.
I found it.
Yeah, I found it right here as well. It's basically it's like why even though you have all this exactly as I said, even if you have all this gender equality and stuff, you still have so few women at the very top of the business world. And this is something that many are so horrified against. Like, why do we just this company have so few women in the very upper echelons? And they actually have quoted in people in the boards and stuff like that. So you have like 50% representation and stuff. But the fact of the matter is that very few women choose to get to those positions, and you still have people complaining about a wage gap in Scandinavian countries. But when you go and you look into the details, there is no wage gap. It doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it's actually women earning more than men for the same jobs. So job per job and hour per hour, there is no pay gap. But what you have is women choose to work part-time, and they choose to work in jobs that pay less, which are typically jobs in nursing, teaching, and stuff like that, entirely by choice. And this is even if you have all kinds of quotas and stuff like that that tries to amend it, and it still doesn't work because people have their natural preferences.
Right. Thank you, Jan. And then Nova Omega, I like that name, sends in £5, says, nah, doctors will be replaced by AI anyway. It'll be fine. Yeah. Like Idiocracy. And Ivy sends in $1.99, says, another Tom rant. Love it. Well, thank you, Ann. We got George in the house. How you doing, George, the Giant Slayer, sending in 2 super chats in a row. For $19.99, the first one says, when Oscar speeches change from, I'd like to thank my agent, my yoga instructor, and my emotional support Peacock for helping me realize that playing a straight white male was a great struggle of my career, to, I love making movies. Thank God my family and fans. Great movies will start a comeback. I agree. All hail the greatest show. I don't know about that, but thank you. Thank you, George. And you are all amazing and love you all. Well, we love you too, George, and we definitely got to have you back on again soon. It's been too long.
Anytime. Always welcome.
Yes, and we got to reschedule our top 5 again soon too. Vincetti Cruz, sends in 5 and says, "Yo, Flash. While Western animation is not in a good spot, where are you at on One Piece? Water 7 is the arc that won't let you go of the journey." That's what he wrote.
Luffy just got Gear 2, the one with steam coming out of his body. I think it's called. Is it Gear? It's Gear 2. He doesn't call it Gear 1, right? So, yeah, he just beat that dude from CP9, and that's where I'm at. It's like I'm like 270 episodes into this series.
So you're like not even a third of the way in, basically.
Yeah, but it's really good now. Like it's the Water 7 arc. It's probably the best arc so far of the show, in my opinion. It's been really good.
Yeah, I just can't.
That the lobby one that I'm at Ein's lobby. That's so good. So good.
Way too much for me to get into.
It's nice to see like Usopp is really shined in this arc. Sniper King. You have no idea what I'm talking about, Tom or Andre,
nope.
But it's good stuff.
You might as well be talking Latin to me.
And I wanted to check it out just to kind of get familiar with the story and characters, but just between the style and just I cannot spend that much time going through the anime, man. You got a youngin', so you can hang out with the youngin' while you're doing baby stuff and watch it. I can understand you killing a few episodes.
Yeah, I just have it on
and all that stuff. Exactly. Yeah. So I used to do the same thing when my kid was young too. You just throw stuff on TV and you can burn a whole series in a week,
So yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, take advantage of that, my friend, because they grow fast. Excuse me.
They do.
What? Yeah, Andre will tell you that much. He's got a couple of Rugrats too running around. They get older every day. One fan sends in $1.99, says, "Look up Activision DEI. Could be huge." Activision DEI. Okay, well, there's something for us to look into, Andre.
Yeah.
Packing. Oh, go ahead. You got to say something?
No, I was going to say, thanks for the tip. We'll be sure to do that.
All right. Packing Protons is in the house. How you doing, buddy? Sends in $10, says, "In order for the SJWs to feel important, they have to undo the progress of the past." This is true. And reset it. Yep. So they can come in and be the heroes fixing the problems they caused. Yep. As Tom said, we got past this. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was still some progress that needed to be made, but for the most part, the playing field had been pretty even. Tomac sends in $20 and says, "Flash, with Unicorn Overlord coming out, do you think we will have another controversy with Dragon's Crown? Or do you think all of the lefty rage consumed by Stellar Blade?"
If there's ass and tits in it, you can count on it.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Nope.
I don't even know what you're talking about, but I just know that much. I think I know Stellar Blade. That's about the only thing that was in that whole thing that I understood.
Yeah, Stellar Blade is delivering the goods. Delivering the goods. A lot more than you're getting from X-Men 97, that's for sure.
All right. Thank you. And hopefully you got your answer, Tomac. We got Nikki Vix here who sends in $10 and says, "Is it me or did the X-Men trailer animation look like rough Kickstarter project? Is this because they want the old look but axe their OG animators and only have digital keyframe pushers left?" It's a good question. To me, I some other people are saying the same thing. A little stiff, stilted, very sterile looking. It's definitely missing the hand-drawn animated flair, even though I think there was some hand-drawn animation done in it. It just, when you do it through the computer, it loses a little bit of something. But you could be right about the keyframe part. Some of this was janky looking, but the other times it looked really smooth and good. What was your opinion on that, YellowFlash?
I thought it looked cheap the moment I saw it, but it was like, well, if it's good, we'll see. And then, all that morph shit dropped, and then I started reading all of the stuff that we've seen over the past couple of years again, and it's like, yeah, I have no hope for the show now. But yeah, the animation looks cheap.
Yeah, there's something off about it. What did you think, Andre?
As expected, because I think that all modern animation that tries to replicate earlier animation, in a sense, looks cheap. It was the same with, for instance, Beavis and Butthead, the movie. Remember that? Like the recent one? All the shots of Beavis and Butthead themselves, they looked fine, but the backgrounds and supporting characters all looked
Yeah.
really, really cheap. I think this is a consequence of the animation right now being done digitally and being rushed. I think really that's what's the root cause here. That
Yeah.
there's not
The
the same level
Japanese
of
can do it a
quality.
lot better.
I
They
think a
can
big
do it
part of it.
better, but
A good example is when they did Dragon Ball Kai. Which is basically people talking about One Piece, but it's done by the studio.
Mhm.
They took all the filler out of Dragon Ball Z, and then to kind of get shots together, they would call it new animation because it's trying to
Mhm.
replicate the older style. You could tell when they did it, but it didn't look that bad. It was much better than what we see over here.
Six, what did you think of it? I know you're not the biggest fan.
I didn't even. Let me
You
tell you how
didn't
big
bother
a fan
watching
is. I didn't watch it.
All right, fair enough.
I think I was.
Yeah,
too
no.
old.
Now, here's the thing: is I've seen some really good 2D animation, right? Like we all got suckered in by Masters of the Universe Revelations. Like that company putting out that stuff. I can't remember their names, but they also did the Castlevania series or whatever. From my
I
understanding,
can't complain. The animation is one thing I cannot complain about.
they do an amazing job with 2D
Yeah.
animation, but some of the other companies just they can't seem to nail it. With Beavis and Butthead, looking back on it now, because the series it got progressively better, Andre. I think part of it was because that movie was rushed. Because I don't know if you watched later on, Geary and I were going through some things. There was some stuff that wasn't even finished in that when they put it out. Like there's stuff
I
that you could
noticed.
see through
I
the
could tell.
backgrounds and some other shit. Like they rushed that movie, I think, because then the show, when you get to the show, it doesn't seem as cheap. And the characters in the background and the assets seem a lot better.
The show looks better than the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So I wonder if that wasn't just because they ended up rushing that movie, because like I said, we found a bunch of snafus and errors later on that they normally would have caught. Like the background, like Beavis and Butthead were coming through the background of the space shuttle and all this stuff. It was like really stupid shit that you, and one he caught where like the shadow of the character was like, it was supposed to be like on his face to like shade the face. It was like way over here. I'm like, how did I not notice that when I was watching it? But there it was right in front of my face, you know. I was like, okay.
I think I'd rather not notice, because once you see, you can never unsee.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, that's very true. But thank you, Nikki Vix, for that. It does kind of look like a Kickstarter project in a way. Colby Sullivan sends in 2 and says, "Funny, she doesn't look Druish."
Yeah.
Titties sends in 14 South African Rand, says, "Why are the animated titties gone?" Well, you know, can't make anybody jealous, you know. So, and then we've got MrTickleTrunk here with a Canadian twofer and says, Beast now is larger breasts than any the 3 female. This is true. This is very true. I know YellowFlash has to be, yeah, Gambit too. YellowFlash has to be running here. Do we have any specific ones for him? I thought
Yes,
we did, but
there
we might
was
have
one
got them
there.
all. There's
Chaos
at least
Tonic
one left.
says for $5. Flash anime recommendation: Space Runaway Idion. Think a combination of Lovecraft and Mecha made from the person who made Gundam.
Well, I'll check that out then. That sounds pretty cool.
Awesome.
See, that's
All
what's
right,
great
well,
about the anime. There's just all kinds of stuff.
Did you want to stick around for a few more super chats, or did you have to take off here?
Somebody's going to be getting up soon, so.
Okay. Raging Dino did say, I like that YellowFlash is coming on Midnight's Edge more often now. It's a nice panel. Yeah, we're happy to have him more often whenever he can make it. It's awesome to have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love coming, so. All right, well.
Maybe to become a more regular thing, but in the meantime, check out Flash's channels. You got anything like a video that you dropped recently you want to plug or anything? Otherwise, of course, you can always find us together on Saturday nights on Flashcast.
Yeah, check out Flashcast.
Which we got to get
tomorrow.
Andre on one of these days.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's just that it's in the middle of my night.
I know.
Sometimes it's night.
You just got to sleep in one day, like on a Saturday morning, real late, and then
Because don't you start at 11 Eastern?
Yeah, around then, yeah.
Yeah, and like you 3-4 o'clock sometimes they're still going. So if you miss the beginning, tune in
They
anyway.
only
There's
show up at
plenty
the
more
end.
to go.
I think he has popped on once at the end but
I
it
think
was
once,
a long time
or
ago.
twice. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
But all right,
They
well,
have
thanks
some
for being here,
stamina.
Flash. Sorry,
Yeah,
Six.
for
What'd
sure.
you go?
Thanks for having
I
me.
just said
What'd
they
you
have
say?
some stamina.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Take
Take care,
care.
brother.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
All right, let's get back to the super chats at hand. We've got Jacob Foxfires 964 sending in 5 and says, "You can't have a story about general discrimination without going back to race or sex. Ticks me off because there is more to tell than that." Yes. And all you got to do is just sift through any classic sci-fi. Allegory is just all over that stuff. All over that stuff. And a lot of times they say flat out, "Well, I told it this way because I couldn't tell it the other way." You know? And in that, it's like, well, no, it's better that way. Because now in the future, it's not going to date itself so much. And anything that can be relatable to that, you can feed into it, right? And that's what I said it was so great about the original X-Men, is it didn't matter whatever your thing was that made you feel like an outsider. You could feed that into that and relate to the X-Men that way. And that was what made them relatable, right? They didn't have to have whatever it was that you were, or your problem, or your issue, or your thing that you were dealing with in there directly. Didn't matter, right? So yeah, it just, to me, it's just silly. It's silly. But I don't know if anybody else had anything more to say about allegory.
Moving on.
Guess not. Jacob Fires Fox sends in another 5 and says, or Fox Fires, sorry, I said it backwards. My favorite X-Men is Nightcrawler. Yeah, he's a good one. Because he looks like a demon, but he is a man of faith. He gets discriminated for that despite how he is religious. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in this, which he's supposed to, in X-Men 97. And they have the slightly more modern version of it where I believe he is cast aside his Catholic ways, if I'm not mistaken. Then he just found out recently he's a butt baby of 2 women.
Oh yeah, they did that, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they totally destroyed his character. Butt crawler, exactly. What's funny is he wrote that before I even said it, probably because there's like a 5 to 10 second delay. Easy. Is this live sent in 5 Canadian? Says, well, his writing credits include The Witcher, Moon Knight, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So yeah, yep. And this, of course, is referring to DeMeo, the guy who on X-Men we showed the video of. Not a glowing resume, that's for sure. Especially Moon Knight, because he's like one of the main guys on that, I guess, too. DCB Titan says could knock Storm up and then, oh, look at the time. Yeah, oh, jeez. Kamchi, if I'm saying that right, sends in 4.99, says, I've been empathy with Marvel and DC after Spidey far home and still haven't bought anything made from them. Didn't Morph survive in the old show? Liars. Yeah, they do kind of mention that he was brought back, but yeah. You have, I think you mean you have little empathy for Marvel and DC, and yeah, I agree with that, if that's what you're saying. After Spider-Man Far From Home, you still haven't bought anything from them, and yeah, I understand that. I've bought very little outside of a couple of, I think I got Guardians 3 and No Way Home. Have been the only Marvel movies I bought. Oh, I did buy, I have to admit, I did buy Thor Love and Thunder, but do you know why I bought that?
What?
It was on the Best Buy clearance sale, so I got it for $10 in the 4K Steelbook.
Oh my God. So you actually saved money by buying a movie that you don't like. Okay. That's called man math.
It's in the library.
It's in the
you know
library.
what? Even if I don't, here's the thing though, Six. In about 2 years or a year, I could probably sell that Steelbook on eBay for $50, $60 because Steelbooks have a collector's market. That's half the reason I bought it. I was like, even if I don't keep it or watch it ever, it's still sitting in plastic. I can probably sell it for quite a bit of money in a couple of years.
Yeah, you know you're going to keep it.
I have no reason to watch that piece of shit ever. But you liked it.
I did like it, yeah. That's okay.
I have talked to a few people who liked it, but there's one common denominator between all the people who like it. And I don't know if you're going to like what I say.
Oh, go ahead.
They're all women.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, but everybody said I liked it because they ripped his clothes off. And that
That's
was
not
a
true.
cringe-worthy scene.
Well, that's just one bit.
Yeah.
No, I can tell why women like it. I like looking back on it now. It has elements to it, but it's not what the comic book audience wants at the end of the day. But anyway, DCB Titan sends in 5 and says, so when Jean Grey is playing Polly Pocket, are they doing it to Nerf Herder's love sandwich? Me and Steve are the bread. And
Cook tip?
yeah, I don't know what that is. You the meat.
Oh, is that? Oh, it's bitch.
Oh,
spelled out.
bitch.
Duh.
Oh, bitch, you the meat. Yeah, it took me a second too there. I got it about the same time you did. Yeah. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 5 says, if you guys want, I can send a link on Madam Web's spoiler tweet. Also, they did Ezekiel, one of the Peter's mentors in Spider-Man Dirty. Madam Web's spoiler tweet. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Chaos Sonic, but go ahead and send it over. But I'm curious if it might be something that Andre's already aware of and maybe possibly working on a video in the background, if that's what you're talking about. But it might be something different. So I'll try and find you.
Yeah,
on
not the Ezekiel thing. I don't even know who Ezekiel is.
Send it to Tom.
So yeah.
No, the Ezekiel thing is, I think, different from the spoiler tweet thing, unless it's something about the movie as it is now, which none of us give a crap about a spoiler. But you got a bit of info on Madam Web that you're working on a video, right?
I am working on a video, but it's like there's no there's like no exclusive in continuity stuff like Ezekiel or anything.
No, it has something to do with stuff that was left out of the movie or changed or something like that. But
yeah, we'll see. And I'm still tweaking it, so we'll see how it turns out.
And I'm not seeing anything in my Twitter yet. So yeah, sorry about that, Chaos Sonic. And then we've got MrTickleTrunk, who sends in 2 Canadian and says, for Andre. You're welcome, ladies.
Yeah.
And then Big Raj sends in a thumbs up. Thank you for that. If you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, please do. Mikey is here. How you doing, Mexican Iron Man? Sends in 499. Says, I think we need more trans gay DEI women in landscaping, roofing, and construction work. Just a suggestion. I agree, Mike.
Yeah, then we need to have DEI headquarters in the resulting buildings because I am stepping in them.
Paulus Plane sends in 200 Norwegian krone. Thank you for the generous 200 Norwegian kroner. Says the women midwives and the men engineers. Well, I don't see where it has to be one or the other, but
I'd like to see a study on women who are in jobs that are typically male. Do they exhibit more masculine characteristics? Because
that's a good question. Yeah.
I'm in a very heavily dominated female profession, and I want to keep those feminine qualities that I have. I want to be soft and nurturing and empathetic. Not that men can't be that, but that's just
no. I see what you're saying. Folks. I mean, and you're right. In a lot of cases, like, okay, let's say if you had like a construction job, I think you're probably right. Most of the women that are in construction, not all, but a lot, to my knowledge that I know, kind of lean more towards the tomboyish side, let's say, to be nice.
Hashtag right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and not all, but I think there may be something to that, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there's something to be said. And you're right. And in like the medical industry, especially in nursing and other things like that, in certain areas, certain service industries, you want that feminine touch. You're 100% right, Six, because yeah, men just sometimes overlook silly things like that women don't. So yeah. Okay, now I got the thing from Chaos Sonic. And he says, all these events happened in Madam Web except one. Can you guess which one is the lie? Okay, so I'm going to bring this up on the screen.
Okay.
We've got Madam Web is born in a cave in Peru with the help of a magic spider people. No, I know that's true. 3 spider women never get powers and are only seen in costume during dream sequences. I think that's also true. Evil Spider-Man is killed by a large Pepsi sign. I know that's true. Madam Web becomes wanted for kidnap. That's true. Madam Web runs down evil Spider-Man in her car twice. I believe that's also true. Peter Parker is born and not named. I believe that's also true. Madam Web inexplicably splits into 3 ghost-like copies of herself near the end of the movie. That I don't know about. That might be the lie, I guess. Which I assuming is probably something to do with the comics. Or, no, it's, I'm kidding. They all happened. It
from the
says,
Marvels movie.
yeah, it says they all happened actually. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
That's how bad this movie is. Yeah, it's a gasser. I'll tell you that. I just wish it was funny. That's what I wish people were saying is like, you got to see it because it's just that bad. You know, like that's
so
the thing.
bad it's good.
Yeah.
That
was fantastic. Was that?
Kinda. Yeah.
It had like a couple of entertaining moments.
Morbius is my more recent and better example of that, right? Like you can watch Morbius and have fun with that, even as bad as it is. But this just looks like, it sounds like it's unwatchable. At least with Morbius, there's just glorious, hilarious shit happening almost every 5 to 10 minutes. So you're like, the fuck am I watching? Chaos Sonic 1 sends it 2 and says, I sent it to Twitter and we got it, buddy. Thank you so very much for that. We appreciate the support. Tennille is here and he says, any idea when we're doing the next member stream, Andre?
Tom and I just have to find a time, but it's going to be inside of the next few days. Notifications will be sent through the usual channels. So inside of the next few days.
So in other words, stay tuned to our Twitters and or X's, whatever you want to call it, and
especially the community tab, community tab. Yeah.
And that doesn't always alert you. Sometimes it does. So you might want to just check in from time to time. But
make sure you have notifications set to the channel.
That too. But thank you for the question and the support. And then Chaos Sonic 1 sends in more. It says part 2 on Idiom. The second movie goes hard on Lovecraft and it is the true ending of the series. And it goes really, really hard and metal. There you go, Andre. That sounds like something up your alley.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Tennille also says, I believe such a level of gaslighting is prescribed. Thank you for the 5. Not prescribed. Or proscribed. Gotcha. Proscribed. That's the opposite. Under the Geneva Convention. Maybe Disney is off the Hague. What is that? Off the Hague.
Hague, that's the International Tribunal for Human Rights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See? Helps if you take civics. Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you. Master Clockworks sending in $5 and says, the only thing that bothers me about Morph is the lazy writing. A bigger issue. How does this look worse than almost 30-year-old show? That was my question.
I don't know that it looks, maybe some details, but overall, I don't know that is fair to say. But keep in mind, though, that 30-year-old show, that was made at the time when you actually had an animation industry that did hand-drawn 2D animation all the time. That was the infrastructure. There was loads and loads and loads of talent that did it. You don't have that anymore.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
most animators can't do that. That's a lost art. That's why.
And it's not just that. I mean, there's a quality. Like, I get what everybody's saying, right? There is a quality that has been lost going completely digital from and even though there's still hand-drawn animation done in a lot of stuff, it doesn't feel like it because it's just too perfect. You're able to go in and fix all the little inaccuracies and intricacies that kind of made classic animation, plus the fact that it was shot on film with the way the cells look. There's just a look to cell animation the digital can't quite get. And maybe it's the coloring, like Verse Vlees is saying in the chat. That could very well be that the coloring is just, there's something wrong with it. It doesn't glow and feel the warmth of classic animation. I can't put my finger on it, but I totally get it. And Beavis and Butthead suffers from that now. Simpsons eventually went down the same road. You can tell the moment they went from, hand-drawn to a little bit of digital to completely digital, right? For instance. And people have brought up Cuphead, and I haven't checked into it too much yet, but some people say, oh, that's supposed to look like classic animation. But that even still has some of the sterile issues from the clips I've seen. There's just something about it. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, we got to move on. We got Pilgrim Media sending in too and says, seriously, folks, Is Bob a psychopath? You mean Bob
Bob
Iger?
Iger, presumably.
Well, what kind of dumb shit did Bob say this week?
Oh, that's a nice one.
I don't know if he said anything yet.
Yeah.
But,
Actually, well, I think it's in reference to
Yeah.
basically all of the narcissism that came out during that post January 6th talk, when he doubled down on diversity and Disney going super political. Only it wasn't political because it's a democratic talking point. Here's the thing. Is he a psychopath? Technically, no, probably not. But if you look at the profile of the kind of man that gets to the very, very, very top of business, not all, but many of them, they have a mild version of psychopathy. They certainly have narcissism, and they have a mild version of psychopathy. So they're not criminals per se, but they do have that exact same grandized image of self and entitlement to do anything that they want. And they steer it towards business, and it allows them to walk over corpses. And if they're clever and they're strategic, they can go very, very far because they have no bounds. So is he a psychopath? No. Does he have some psychopathic traits? We are not qualified to make that distinction. But statistically, given that he is a very successful CEO, there's a fairly good chance that yes, he actually does.
All right. Then Jesus Davila is giving out memberships. Thank you so much, Jesus. And then we got Adam Wolford here with $5 and says at 6. Not typically, but some women do. But there are some women that still act feminine, but still act like the guys to a point. Me coming hard, labor.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that it's not an all or nothing type of thing. There's definitely exceptions, and that's great.
Yeah. Then Tennille sends in another 5. Thank you so much. Says Andre, fantastic, or Fanforstic, was Plan 9 from outer space levels of bad. Hey, that's an insult to Plan 9 from outer space. All I was missing was a bomb made of light and breathing goggles.
Yeah, that movie, that was quite something. That was quite something. And
Oh,
I'll
man.
never forget the reaction of the live audience I saw it with. People going in hyped, many thinking it was part of the MCU, and just seeing the hype disappear. And I saw it at like an advanced screening that was even done by Fox Norway. So they had even hired in some girls to be there and like go, yeah, whoa, whoa, stuff like that in the background. every once in a while, right? Even they
Cheerleaders?
Yeah, they were cheerleaders, and even they eventually shut up because there was even like a heckler that told them to shut up. It was like, shut up, the movie sucks. So yeah, that was quite something. That was
In Norwegian, that's got to sound awfully bad too.
Some things just are better in English. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Just works in any language, I guess.
That's one of those that actually does. That one is very international. Now, of
Universal.
course, I'm from Kolbotn, and you have like a very good alternative to it in the Kolbotn dialect. But beyond that, then yeah, no, some things are just better in English. So you have some dialect solutions, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's just the way it sounds. It pretty much it doesn't matter if they understand it or not. Just the way it sounds, it says enough to say just like shut up. Right?
Yeah.
Old Kristen Wathney. Old Christian Wathney. I am so sorry. What? I'll get it eventually. One of these dang days. Sends in 15 Norwegian krona and says, working in a male-dominated oil in Norway, the women I work with are feminine, and there are plenty of them. Love it, not just grumpy old guys. Well, that's cool to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Then D-Bud's in the house, and he's sending a shout out for $10 to the fellow mods. And yes, a huge shout out to the mods who help us every day tirelessly. Work has kept me away for most of the last 2 weeks, but they kept things covered, except that Mr. TickleTrunk guy, he's trouble. Oh, he's Canadian. We let it slide.
He is trouble, and Deba Martin, you have been missed.
Yes, indeed. And then Paulus Plane sends in 200 Norwegian krona to clarify what he meant before. Now, this makes more sense. Okay, this I understand more. Google worldwide midwife statistics by gender. Globally, 90% of the nursing and midwifery workforce are women. See, that I understand what you're saying now. Before, I wasn't quite getting at what you were getting at. Sorry about that, bud. But yeah, that makes sense. Then we got Tennille, who sends in another one for $5. Says, D-Bud, that ne'er-do-well Mr. TickleTrunk is always up to no good, rabble-rousing, brouhaha-haing, nagadukning, goodnicking. Okay, took me a second. Hooliganing or other shenanigans. This is true. TickleTrunk is always up to something.
Yes.
He may not know what it is himself most of the time, but he is up to something. But thank you, Tennille. That makes you the last super chat of the day. And with that, as Andre likes to says,
it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.